tonight. Don't say that often. 125-108. They beat the Brooklyn Nets. More like the Brooklyn Knots. Am I right? No. Okay.
Well, you just lost to him and lost by 45 earlier in the
Hey,
season.
hey, hey. We don't talk about yesterday. Yesterday's price is not today's price. 125-108. Bucks beat the Brooklyn Nets tonight. AJ Green, Derry Bird went to looking like Steph Curry, looking like Dame Lillard, looking like Chris King in the building. 125, 108, 11 threes from Derry Bird. What a night from him. He was not. We called him cardio. He wasn't no cardio tonight. That boy was playing some basketball on this evening. Fun hoops tonight. I don't remember last time that we had, like, I would say this was an enjoyable watch. Like, it was an enjoyable watch watching this game. It was an enjoyable day. I think on the for if you saw the clips that came out from Doc Rivers going to Shams today. So the Bucks have not had many wins on the year, but today all around they get a collective win. Also counted on the scoreboard. 125-108. Come on in the room. We are live at Cruiser Crossover Cruiser.
JT.
Chris King.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. I was like, all right, there we go. Let's do it. Appreciate you guys for coming in the room, joining us on the last home game of the year. Last home game of the year. Thought we'd see. Well, we'll talk about the Giannis situation. Thought we may see him. We don't. What does that mean? But the Bucks take care of business. We'll talk about that real quickly before we get to all of the other things that took place in the news. So real quick, we'll do a game recap as we always do. AJ Green, that's where we'll start. 41 minutes for him, 35 points. Is that a career high for him? Points? Was that a career high? I know it was a career high threes made. But yeah, I feel like it was a career high points for him. 35, 5, and 4, 2 steals, 11 of 18 from the field. He was 11 of 16 from 3, plus 29 on the night. No turnovers. AJ Green was, again, this is what you want to see. I mean, so he had a long stretch of hoops where it wasn't impressive, but we talked about the whole gravity thing. Gravity don't mean diddly if you're not putting the ball in the basket. That's the name of the game. That's what Dr. Naismith invented when he put the peach basket up there. The point was for the ball to go through it. And if you're not able to do that, then you have some problems. And AJ Green, to his credit, the last week or so, a couple weeks, whatever it's been, thought he's played for the most part very well. And he got to hit shots, and so he is hitting them. How about Cormac Ryan? He's an NBA player, is he not? This is an NBA player. And even to the point where AJ Green, again, I'm not going to take it away from AJ Green, 11 of 16 from 3, but all of his makes were behind the arc. He does some other things, but to me, for all intents and purposes, AJ Green's a one-trick pony. He's a three-point specialist. That's what he does. Cormac Ryan, that's what I thought he was okay, we're going to try to replace AJ Green, or not replace it, but this is another AJ Green. You can't have too many guys hit threes, but Cormac Ryan is a little bit different to me, where he has a what they call him, boys? Sneaky athletes. They call him, he's sneaky athletic around the rim. He defends, I think, at a nice level. 28, 5, and 3. 1 steal, 10 of 17 from the field, 5 of 9 from the three-point line. He did have 3 turnovers. He was a plus 21. I continue to be impressed by him and everything that he does. Miles Turner tonight, 26 minutes, 13 and 5. Usman Jang, wow, I didn't realize he had 12 assists tonight. 12 points, 12 assists, 6 rebounds. Again, they had him basically playing a little point forward with all the guards out of the lineup. He was 5 of 12, 0-4 from 3. Did have 4 turnovers. Again, he's not a point guard. But you like to see the 12 assists there. Taurean Prince, 18, 10, and 5. Thought Taurean as well goes out, shoots the ball well. He's come back very well, especially from a neck injury. I thought he's come back and has played relatively well. Jericho Sims, 11 and 10, double for him. Kuz, 20 minutes, 8 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. And Ajax ran around for 14 minutes. Bucks had a lot of guys out with injury. You look on the Brooklyn side of things. I'm not even going who he play for. I'm not even gonna go there with that group of guys. They brought a team of players to the game. But again, I'll say this: keep it real short. I like the effort, like the fight. I'll get to the Giannis. We'll do the Giannis stuff later. But if you just stick on the game, you come out, you play hard. This is what April basketball is about. When you're a losing basketball team, go out, try to set records, try to find something to build on, try to make things exciting as much as you can. And I thought tonight they absolutely did that for whatever it's worth. You beat down a terrible Brooklyn team, as you should, even though the Bucks are struggling. I do a super chat from NYC. Randy, what up, NYC? NYC says AJ Green. I need some glasses. He says AJ Green was putting him MFs today, and one more game, then we're free from Mussolini himself and Doc Rivers. He said, thank God this year's over. On to the off season. So NYC was the words there. Appreciate the super chat, NYC. Yeah, like I said, no question. AJ Green shot the ball well, and at least Doc Rivers. He sounds like he may be back in some capacity with the Bucks, but doesn't seem like he's going to be the head coach. But again, tonight was about AJ Green. Good stuff, and the Bucks got to win tonight. That's all I saw. JT, what'd you see?
First off, hey, you know what, the dub, we talked about this for a long time, seeing who can play, seeing who's going to be a piece next year. I said this last game. I want to see more of Cormac Ryan. Hey, man, get this man a shot. What we going to do? Let's have that man on active roster a little bit more. Let's see a lot more of him too. Agree with you there. Interesting thing tonight, what I love about wins in the aggregate, I say this all the time. Every single player, except for two on the Bucks team, are in double figures tonight. I like it. That's what I like to see. Right? I mean, yes, it's the hapless Brooklyn Nets, but yeah, everybody that played for the Bucks tonight was in double figures except for Kyle Kuzma and Andre Jackson Jr. Right? So how about that, guys? Way to go. Another night for the 50-50 club. Anytime you shoot 50% from the field and 50% from the three-point line, that's always a good night, right? 50-50 club, here for it for the Bucks. And, look, this season is over. It's been cooked for a while, but I think any night where you can see your young guys, you can see guys, you see, Cormac Ryan, you see Derrick Bird come out, give you something to at least be remotely optimistic about next year is a good night, especially the dub against the hapless Brooklyn Nets team. So, man, we're inching towards this thing. Last game on Sunday, inching towards our off-season pods, right? We'll still probably be around in some capacity in the playoffs, but looking to next year. And, we finished this thing up. I did think we were going to see the Antetokounmpo brothers play. I think you said, what'd you say last week? We thought we'd see him on Friday. A little disappointing, but I get it. The Bucks have to, they got to protect themselves. They got to protect their investment. They're under any obligation to do anybody any favors. Unbelievable if we will never see Giannis play in another Bucks we'll never see Giannis play another game in a Bucks jersey. I can't believe it ends this way if that is the case. But hey, man, I think a lot of people would have liked to see him, three brothers out there making it happen, right? Kind of like Bonnie Blue said. So
hey, I'm jumping. Will Link was. I just had to jump in. Sorry, Chris. Will Link was. That's crazy, JT. He said, hopefully you all didn't have to hear Lisa tonight on the call. Man, dog. I don't know if you. I just can't. Did you see when AJ got up there and almost had a dunk? It's just that just
too excited.
Me. Oh, it'd be the other one I hate is body bucket and one is not a thing. I don't know who told her to say body bucket and one. That is terrible. Anyway, sorry.
Well, if you want an indictment on the Bucks franchise, you can look no further than the play-by-play announcer on FanDuel every night. To me, yeah, this game was just like it's hard to take anything from these basketball games.
We ain't never gonna get no interviews.
No, yeah, never mind. Yeah. But no, I think like with these basketball games now, you look across the league, you look across the board, and it's like I have just a hard time of giving too much credence to these performances, these one-off nights from these guys. because everybody's having him around the league. Like, I mean, even you look at the Brooklyn Nets, EJ Liddell had 26 the other night. Like, guys that you haven't heard of since they were drafted or picked up in the league for the first time, you just you start to hear a little more buzz around them. You start to see those posts about their stat lines, and then the next season comes around and they're still at the end of the bench. And so what's striking to me is the fact that Andre Jackson Jr., and I hate to just like pile on somebody who probably actually deserves it. Never mind. Like, I don't understand how you can't show at least some like real improvement across the board offensively against this type of talent, because it seems like most everybody else that is a proven NBA player can, and it's just unfortunate that Ajax has been in the league collecting checks from us for this long, I would say. So yeah, I mean, great games, Cormac Ryan and AJ Green and Taurean Prince. I mean, you like to see them get a couple shots to go down, but like, you shoot 50% from the 3-point line. Like, that's going to happen. You're going to find a win eventually, and especially against a bad team. So I just like, we're finally almost a game away from the season ending, because we are in that spot of like where the team either getting blown out, or if we play a worse team, we might win. Like, and that's just a rough spot to be in as a fan of like watching so much good basketball the past couple of years. But yeah, I mean, again, just have a hard time taking too much from this win. I mean, there's not much effort. There's not much will to win all the time at these points of the season.
So the post-game player they interviewed tonight was Cormac Ryan. He said it was an absolute blast playing like this. Most important thing is we won the basketball game. Good to give the fans a win on the last night that will be in front of them. And then they asked him, why does he have so much confidence? And sorry for y'all folks that don't follow the Lord, but it's going to be a heavy religious responses from him. He said, I have confidence because I work hard and I trust God, and it's just a blessing to be out here. Then the guys asked him if you would have thought about this 2 months ago, that you'd be getting water dumped on you by Giannis, and what would your thoughts be? I'll say it's been an absolute blessing. The G League is very hard. You have to put in a lot of work, and I've done that, and I've gained things, and I'm just blessed to be out here tonight. Then we'll go to Doc Rivers. AJ shooting was absolutely great. Single game record, and he has a big chance, and I think that's one thing. He has 2 threes to tie Ray Allen for a record that's been standing for 25 plus years. 3 would actually take the lead for him. Coming into the game, we thought we had to get AJ more shots, and I think they did a good job of it. When we play right, we can be a great shooting team. And he just mentioned again, playing right, we do some good things. Oos 4 turnovers, we got to stop that. But overall, he played well, 12 assists, and just did everything possibly right. Good ball player, and his future is immense. Cormac is savvy, high IQ. His inner toughness, kind of like that sneaky athleticism that you mentioned, is something that, ball movement, passing. They asked him a question about that. Was beautiful tonight. We made plays around the horn. A lot of unselfishness, and you saw that at the end when Miles had the opportunity to take a 3, and he passed it off to AJ for the 3. And then at the end, I think this is truthfully Doc's last game in Milwaukee, because he thanked the media. He admitted to being a pain in the ass to them at times, but he said the media did a great job in being fair to him and fair to the team. And I think when you hear sentiments like that at the end of a press conference, it almost signifies what's coming next.
There's no question, and he said as much. He's alluded to it now a couple times. Before the game, he made it's interesting, and I'll get the Doc. I wanted to do the Giannis thing first before we get to Doc's comments, but I thought it was interesting that he made the rounds today. He was on the Run It Back show with Lou Will and Michelle Beadle and that team. What's wrong? Why you? What's what? What? Okay, I'm just you looked at like I said something wrong, Lou Will. Okay, maybe I did. Okay.
Oh no, I didn't say nothing.
Oh, okay.
Justin said he was down on the golf course earlier today, though. Justin said everybody mad at him. He took me home $20.
No, okay. But yeah, no, that so he did that. He did that show. I saw him on another show. So he's seen him make the rounds, and he was on Dan Patrick. And again, and like I'll talk about it. I like the fact that let me say this, not every coach would do what Doc Rivers did. Let me say this, most coaches would not do what Doc Rivers did. I don't know why. Shams got people running like Omar coming for you in the wire, because that they got like he just you can't touch him. And again, Doc Rivers is what we say the other. He's 65-year-old man. He telling people Google him or check his resume. Doc Rivers has no fear of Shams. But before we do Doc Rivers stuff, I want to get to you guys. I want to get to the Giannis situation. And did you think this was the right move or the wrong move? We've talked about it before, but today it came to fruition where he doesn't play, and it seemed like he publicly and privately advocated to play, and they rebuffed him. And what does I guess my other question is, what does that say? Because again, obviously they do it, but what does that say moving forward long term? Because you would think that I think from just the perspective of how you can salvage a relationship that clearly is fractured, that clearly is torn in some capacity, I think the normal school of thought would be, well, and I think what the Bucks have always done for Giannis is throw the bone, acquiesce to his need. Okay, you want to go play in Greece? Go play in Greece. You want to do it? Go ahead, y'all. You want to bring the ball? Go ahead. You want Damian Lillard? Go ahead. You want this coach? Go. They've all at every turn. You want your brother on the team? Go at every single turn. They have shown we will bend over backwards to do what you want and to make you feel comfortable. That's what they've shown us for the last, I won't say 13 years, but since he's been a star, that's been the move. Whatever Giannis wants, we'll do it. He says jump, we say how high. That's what the Bucks organization has been, bending over backwards to try to make sure he stays in Milwaukee. This is one of the first instances of Giannis pushing for something publicly, privately, going to the NBA PA. He had an investigation run against his own team.
Yeah.
And the Milwaukee Bucks said, no, enough is enough. We are done. We say you're not playing. You're not playing. What does that mean moving forward?
Well, at the end of the day, that's one of the most disloyal things you can do. Sorry, guys, but when you call an investigation against your own team, your own squad, I mean, listen, loyalty and everything else, that is one of the most disloyal things you can do, is when you want an investigation against your own team. And Giannis did. He screamed out. He wanted all of that because he didn't get his way. And you know what? If I'm the Bucks, what the Bucks need to do, you need to call his bluff. You need to say, okay, I know you're not going to ask for a trade. Let's see if we can force you to ask for one. Because I know you don't want to do it. And you know what I'm gonna do? Like Trey always says, I'm gonna hold the leverage of, I got $278 million waiting for you. Was it 275, whatever? I got $275 million waiting for you right here on the table, right? You can sign it as soon as you're eligible, and we are off to the races. Oh, you don't want to do that? Okay, I'm gonna make you ask for a trade, right? I am literally going to call your bluff here because I kind of hate to say it, but I mean, it's kind of acting a little bit like a toddler. You didn't get your way, so now you're upset at this point. You didn't get your way, you're moaning and groaning, and now you're showing how you're doing this and this. He kind of has been this the last year. And no, this is not the way you want to end it. And people, I get what everybody's going to say. We hadn't had a title in 40 years. He gave us this, he gave us that. Okay, 5 seasons ago, you're right. He did. But at the end of the day, over the last 4 years, it's been, I mean, some of the worst Bucks basketball we've seen in the postseason. That, you know, we can, when the Bucks have made the postseason, yeah, it's been some of the worst Bucks basketball that we've seen over the last decade or so too. So I think there's two sides to this, but I think this relationship is reconcilable because money, you know, it goes a long way here. And I mean, like Trey always says, is Giannis gonna walk away from, what's that difference? He can make $70 more million if he stays with the Bucks versus going to another squad.
No, I think it's yeah. Well, yeah, it's 275 versus 212.
Yeah. Okay. So call it $63 million. That's a $63 million difference over 4 years. If he stays with the franchise that drafted him, stays with the franchise he spent 13 years with, versus going somewhere else and pursuing greener pastures. And at some point, that is, I mean, on top of the money they've already given, on top of the signing of your brothers, on top of the community embracing you and everything else, I mean, I don't think the Bucks owe him anything else besides that. Look, we got an extension on the table. You sign this thing, or you go ask out. And I think that's just kind of where this thing is. I mean, when you talk about smoothing a relationship, what more do you want him to do? Like, what more do you want him to do for a player who's not been available? And they've gone along with this Greece thing. They've not even publicly griped about this Greece thing, knowing the same thing that we know. That you not being available in certain postseasons, this team's underwhelmed, and yet you still go across the pond and, do what with a team that's not going anywhere anyway, right? Like, so I mean, what more do you want the Bucks to do for this dude? I don't understand. I don't get it at this point. I think the team really needs to kind of drop an anchor and say, look, either ask for a trade, sign this extension. Is where we at.
Let me get to this super chat. NYC Randy says he was at the Nets Pacers game. They played 7 guys from YMCA pickup in Harlem. Nets are ass. NBA needs to do something because this product is god awful. I love Cormac's game. Plays the right way. We need him. Excuse me. I got to sneeze.
It's always the white guys that play the right way.
That's a sneaky. That's a sneaky athletic, and they
fundamental
play the
basketball.
right way.
Next thing is
Moxie.
locker room guy.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's good.
Savvy. High basketball IQ.
Yep.
That's lit, yeah.
To me, I guess the more I kind of have been able to calm down a little bit from last Brooklyn Nets show, like, to me, I think, especially when you guys bring up the history of the injuries and going out to Greece and doing the whole 9 yards in the summer, like, I do think this is a little bit of the Bucks just drawing the line, whether that be from how much power they've given Giannis, or also just looking out for their future in terms of if they continue with Giannis, because the injuries are certainly a concern. So they do have to draw that line regardless of, like, we have to save you from yourself. You're going to go out there and go try to play with your brothers, and you're going to go 100 miles an hour like we know you typically do. This season's kind of fallen off a little bit, and it did. But, like, you have to draw a line at some point, and whether that be from the power dynamic or saving him from an injury again and just wear and tear on the body. Like, I think that is a really good move from the Milwaukee Bucks, and they're doing the right thing, especially knowing that this investigation could potentially be called off, right? Because of the 3-on-3 stuff that he didn't want to participate in. So all good things that the Bucks are doing right now. I wanted them to take that power dynamic back, and it seems like they're doing it.
So I think the Bucks lost some of their power dynamic. I think it's pretty obvious because we've never had a player like Giannis, at least in the 4 of our lifetimes in Milwaukee. And, you can look to some of our parents, grandparents, and maybe they saw Kareem Abdul-Jabbar play for the Bucks, but the Bucks did everything they possibly could to try to appease him and try to keep him here. And I think we talked about it the other day, and Trey, you talked about it on 9 to Noon. We talked about it on here. If you want to play with your 3 brothers, what did you say? Go play with them on the next team you're with?
Yeah.
And just for kicks and giggles right now, you got 2 guys on the Wisconsin Herd who could be on the end of this Milwaukee Bucks bench that are averaging more points than Alex averaged in Oshkosh and are a better basketball player than Thanasis. And I'm talking about Johnny Davis and Mark Sears. Johnny Davis is 15.6 points a game in Oshkosh, 5.9 rebounds. Mark Sears is 19.1 points per game, 3.8 rebounds, and 5.6 assists. Now, I'm not saying these are world beaters and they're going to come into the NBA and wreck shop over it. However, they're better than those 2 guys that are on the floor. And then, like Chris just kind of alluded to with the injuries, you've had 4 lower body injuries this year. You just watched the basketball team be crippled by Damian Lillard putting it on the line for the city and trying to go out and get us past the Tyrese Hallihos and the Indiana Pacers and blow out his Achilles, and now he can't come back. And he hasn't played this entire year. And then Halliburton did the same thing in the finals. So, like Chris said, we are saving Giannis for himself. And regardless of the fact of no matter where he goes, I want to see Giannis be healthy. I'm going to say something a little off topic real quick. We talked about this guy on here, talking about your boy Nico down there in Dallas. This is about to be a full 360 by me. Talked about he was a fool for trading Luka. I agreed with it. I know myself, I was wrong about it. He was right about Luka. He said that Luka was injury prone, said I don't know about Luka drinking beer and drinking wine. Never been in that man's house, never had a beer with him. I would love to, though. But I never did that. But all I'm going to say is that I always said we shouldn't trade Giannis. We shouldn't do this because he's a face of Milwaukee. Milwaukee won't be any. But maybe the writing's on the wall, and it behooves us to get rid of Giannis before it gets way worse than what it is right now.
Well, and so Justin, I think that's an excellent point that you bring, because here's the elephant in the room for Giannis.
JT,
go ahead.
let me say one of, because I don't want to say something and not give all the credit. The first time I heard a theory like that was from Doug Gottlieb on the radio. Go ahead, bro. Sorry.
Oh, I got you, man. My bad. And I didn't mean to cut you off. But that's kind of the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is that you want Giannis here. We're in year 13. He's going to be in year 14 of this thing. And I mean, are we? The elephant in the room is that he has played at a very high level offensively, but that decline, that physical decline with the way he plays the game and the way the game of basketball and the demands of basketball today, from all that wear and tear on top of the lower extremity injuries that he's had at this point. I mean, the elephant in the room is that he hasn't had a major injury, but at some point that is a possibility, right? That is a possibility. And so the question you have to ask is, how long? Ideally, Giannis would be a guy who could play 100 games, right? He could play a guy who could play, the majority of the season, even 90 games. Play the majority of the regular season and play a deep playoff run. For different reasons, that has not been the case over the last 4 years. Right, this year we didn't make the playoffs. It is what it is. But again, with the end, it's just, it is what it is. There's no. How in the world do you think that's going to improve in season 14, right? And in season 15 and in season 16, when that's just not the way this thing works with age and wear and tear and everything else. At some point, your injuries do take a toll. So I agree with what Chris is saying. It's like there's got to be some sort of thought in the back of their mind of how available, because your best ability is going to be availability and reliability, especially when you're talking about big dollars and cents. I think that says a lot if the Bucks, despite the fact that they've seen what's happened over the last 4 years, despite the fact that Giannis has had availability issues, are still willing to say, hey, man, here's $275 million, right? We're going to give you a quarter plus $1 billion because we believe in you, right? Like that to me says a hell of a lot, on top of the fact that I've been the family payroll for you, so you don't got to pay your brothers out your pocket. We got you. We're going to make sure they get a direct deposit too. I mean, I don't think the Bucks owe him anything else. And I get it. I see somebody's comments. I had a point. Don't think Giannis built this team. Yeah, I understand that, right? I completely get it, and I 100%. But they're not beholden to you forever to do whatever it is you want because you built the team, because you got the high water mark 5 years ago, right? The further and further out we get from this thing, the further and further I think the team has the right to look out for its own interest, look out for its best interest. And again, keep in mind, Bud got his championship 2 years later. He was up out of here, right? Again, you can argue it, but it's the same thing. It's Bud's had this team at levels that we had not seen in 20, almost 40, actually 40-something years. And we got that man up out of here, right? So if we're going to be serious about competing in championships and everything else, then I think the front office has to make the best decisions in the best interest of the Bucks and has to leave, being sentimental and, having these emotions. You got to separate that. You got to look at what the best decision is and what the best path is moving forward.
Well, because you're also not going to get the same return you would get if you signed him to the Supermax and then all of a sudden he's 37 and you're in virtually the same spot as you would be if you got rid of him now, but with less of a return if he was staying here until 37, 36 years old, or however old he would be.
Well, I think if he signs one more, then I think the plan is he's going to retire as a Buck. I can't see him doing a year at 30 because he
strikes me as that competitive though. I would be able to see that.
The issue is his game is not going to age like.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So why would you sign him to an extension?
Well, because he could still be, because what is he right now? 32, 30. Was he 30?
Good for a couple of years, but what about the team? What about the team?
Because you still have I'm just saying, you still have an opportunity to win a championship in the next, kind of like what the Bucks did what the Bucks did with Drew Holiday and the Damian Lillard trade. You're okay setting yourself back. It's almost like, yeah, I'm paying myself now. Worry about the future in the future. And if you have a couple more years of being competitive and trying to win a championship, again, we talk about ceiling wise, then yeah, you take that and you worry about what Giannis is like at 36, 37 when he's 36 or 37 is I think how they would approach that. And like I said, if you were to win a second championship, I don't think anybody would be upset that he playing the next 2 years at a contract that he probably at a level he can't play at anymore. But to your point, Chris, you're right. No, he's not going to I don't think that would happen the way LeBron is because he's just not going to age like that. Like he probably has made 3 really, really, really good years left. And then it will go downhill for him unless something markedly changes about the way he plays and about his game. But I do have to say, because it's on my mind, Justin, you made the point that that Nico was right about Luka. Correct. He was right about Luka. He was wrong about the return. The problem was not that he traded Luka Doncic. I didn't actually have a problem with that at all. I don't think that's a wrong take. That hey, I don't know if Luka can win a championship, especially knowing what he was doing. Again, the Dallas Mavericks would know at lengths what he's doing behind the scenes. Coming to camp out of shape, all that kind of stuff. The issue is you got Anthony Davis back for him. You went and got a hurt. You said I can't get behind Luka because he's always hurt and he's fat and he doesn't take care of his body. And you got a guy that don't take care of his body because he's always hurt and something wrong with him. So I don't know that was the issue was you didn't even shop him. You took him to what you asked the Bucks behind the scenes. Will you do this for Giannis? And then you went to LA and said, okay, I'll take Anthony Davis for him. And that was it. So that was the real problem, I think. And then immediately when AD got there, he got hurt.
100%. It didn't seem like Nico was acting in the best interest of the Mavericks. And that's what I think the issue was. Is nothing he did about this was in the best interest of the Mavericks because you didn't even let a market create itself for Luka. You didn't do anything. You just traded him in the middle of the damn night to the Lakers. And then you kept him in conference, which I think other people were also just kind of off put a little bit by that. Like, why would you do it? Yeah, no. The lack of foresight and thought in this with Nico. I just don't don't understand what the thought process was.
If I had to guess, I think that he knew there was going to be backlash, and he thought I got to do this ASAP because if you shop him, you saw how the city reacted, and if it just comes out all of a sudden, Dallas Mavericks are looking to trade Luka Doncic, that city would have been on. They were on fire anyway. Well, I think because again, when you trade a guy like Luka Doncic, the ownership has to sign off on it, and they have to approve it, and those fans would have did exactly what they did. And I think you probably don't get the trade. You don't even get the approval to do it if the backlash is as bad as it ended up being.
That's absolutely true. But I disagree with a couple things. So he got Anthony Davis back, but he got a 2029 first round pick back from the Lakers. Now
that's it.
What he probably get? The first round pick from the 2029 Lakers pick.
What else?
That's it.
That's not
hold on.
Hold
on.
Yeah, bro.
AD in a pick. Okay.
Let me finish. So that 2029 pick, I believe, is unprotected. And when you're looking at, in his eyes, an injury-prone, out-of-shape Luka, and LeBron, he's not going to be there in 29. And if he is, he'll nowhere be at the level that is a playoff contending team. Oh, then by the way, you got a podcaster as your head coach, but I'll digress on that. Now, he took Anthony Davis, or I'm not going to say him. The Mavericks took Anthony Davis and flipped him for multiple first-round picks from the Washington Wizards. So in the totality, in the immediate thing, did they lose a trade right there? It could potentially backfire, but he could have potentially won it too. Only thing I'm going to say about Nico, Rico, Suave, brother, we don't know if that Dallas Mavericks ownership had him buy the Huevos. Shout out to that new Texas City Connect jersey. And he maybe not have been able to do things that he wanted to do. Kind of like what we've maybe alluded to with John Horst. Maybe so, maybe not. If you got an owner, like this is the thing. If you got an owner that's meddling heavily, we don't really know what the role of the GM truthfully is for any team.
Said it was. I mean, he basically came out and said this is his total idea, and here's why number one it backfired because he ended up because somebody said he knew he was going to get. And that's a good line. Edgar says he knew he was going to get the number one pick in the draft, and I would say if they knew that, then if they knew that, he would have got fired. So no, he didn't know that. I think it's great to say, and I think it is fun, but he got fired. That's what happened. So you did all that, you traded him, you didn't even get to see it to come to fruition. But here's the terrible thing about those picks, Justin. Even you talk about the Lakers picking 29 or whatever you got from Washington. Now, and this would be my biggest gripe if I was the NBA franchise. I just did all this to go grab picks and go get and think about what teams be bad and what teams are here. And now you about to come out next year and change the lottery rules and say that if you're the worst team, you was one of the proposals. If you're the worst team, you can't even get the number 1 pick. You can't get none but higher than pick 5 or pick 3 if you're the worst team in the league. And I done went out and mortgage stuff so I could get these terrible team picks. And they gonna say, well, if you got the first pick this year, you can't have another top 3 pick for the next 3 years. Oh, I would be extreme. The level of pissed off I'd be if I made my plans on rebuilding and picking. That's the other reason why this actually is coming out great now. This has to be a strategy that the Bucks are thinking about when they talk about Giannis and whether you want to rebuild versus retool. What am I going to do with the team that's bad picks from that I think is going to be bad in 27, 28, 29? I don't even know if I can pick that many times. I don't know what's going to happen with the rules. So a lot of things are in flux and in limbo when you think about how you want to move forward with the potential trade if it happens like that.
But just so we clear, I'm just saying that he was right, and the way he did it may not have been right, but he was right to move Luka before it got totally out of pocket where you couldn't do anything. And I think now in Milwaukee, if we talk about Giannis missed all these games this year, he missed the playoffs the year before. He missed the playoffs again the year before. And oh, by the way, that year we won a championship, he had a knee injury that made half the city cry. I mean, you gotta and I saw someone put in the chat that Milwaukee will be Milwaukee will be fine when Giannis leaves. The Bucks will be fine when Giannis leaves. We thought the same thing if you're a Packers fan when Brett Favre left, Aaron Rodgers. Teams move on, cities move on. But you got to get ahead of it. And if Horst isn't going to be here, then someone else has to make the moves. But we're going to have to make a tough decision. And if Giannis can't play Bucks basketball anymore, then I'm sorry. We're so thankful for you. You're absolutely right. There'd be no deal district. There'd be no Pfizer form. We may not even have a Milwaukee Bucks in the city of Milwaukee. And we're so thankful for everything that he's done for us. But we cannot handicap our future on the totality of what he did 5 years ago. Because if you think about it, that's why we're in the situation we're in now. Because we held on to a lot of these guys too far. JT, you always say it because of nostalgia.
Yeah,
but also when
that's 100. That's 100% of what it is. It's that, and we can't be driven by that. You can't look. I mean, how much longer can you be? Especially because you have a moment now to where if you're going to move on from him, you have a moment to get all the pieces in place for you to at least legitimately attempt some sort of short-term rebuild, right? Like you do have the pieces in place, and you may get even more pieces as well. But you hang on. I mean, Trey said this. What did you say last show, Trey? It would be GM malpractice to hang on to him for another season and not trade him this offseason.
Oh yeah, no,
he does not sign an extension. Like you cannot. There's absolutely no way. At some point, push comes to shove, he has to sign. If he does not sign his extension when he's eligible, and you do not trade him this offseason, it is. I mean, that's basketball operation malpractice.
Well, it's also not a surefire conclusion that he's going to just have these next 2-3 great years at his age. Like, you can't make that conclusion or assumption because of what has transpired the last 5 years. And whether you believe or don't believe that he's an injury prone player, it shows. It's showing you. And so I can't just get with he'll give us 2 to 3 more good years at his athletic prime. Well, what good is that if he's missing 20 plus games every year or missing a playoff run?
Well, that's the risk everybody's that. Again, if to your point, and again, that's not a bad take, but to your point, so if you're a Knicks fan, if you're a Brooklyn Nets fan, if you are a Charlotte Hornet, a Detroit Pistons fan, a Minnesota Timberwolves fan. I'm just saying, are you thinking the exact? You got to be thinking the exact same thing. Do I want Atlanta Hawks fan? Do I want to mortgage anything for Giannis? So to Chris' point, that's the same. Everybody has to have these same conversations about whether or not they think Giannis is or is injury prone. And yeah, you're going with the assumption, or obviously everybody's going with the hope that he's not. But that's something that has to be an evaluation on both sides. What you think about his health?
Well, here's the other thing. This isn't completely on Giannis. I will say this though, for an MVP caliber player like Giannis, and again, he's been top 4 in MVP voting for the last 7 before this year, for the last 7 straight years. I mean, his usage rate has been insanely high. His usage rate has been incredible. His minutes played, I mean, my goodness, right? At some point, that's not going to be sustainable too. So what does it look like, right? When do you start backing off of some of Giannis's? Because again, if you got this injury history and you have some of this stuff here too, right? You don't want to ride your horse into the ground in March, right? Like you've got to be a little bit more strategic about the usage and then how does that impact his game overall? There's just a lot of different factors that I think it takes a little bit more analysis to really think through what the next few years at Giannis looks like, regardless of what team he goes to.
Well, and JT, real quick too, to that point, right? You talk about running your horse into the ground in March. They were doing that in October when the season started with this Bucks team, the way that they constructed this basketball team. And we had multiple conversations about it, even in preseason with the additions of the squad. Like, what will this team look like without Giannis? And then all of a sudden they built a team around him. And that would be obviously the fault of John Horst and the fault of the front office. And I don't know who's pushing chips, wherever in the offseason, but like they built a bad team around Giannis and they were basically forced to run him into the ground as well. And Giannis isn't going to have that discipline to be like, maybe it's not worth doing having all this usage. So, he wants to lay it on the line for his team all the time. And it came back to bite him again this season.
So I think a couple things, and you're absolutely right on that. And I think the biggest thing that Giannis isn't realizing is as your body gets older, it transitions, right? Y'all know I play golf, and I walk out there, and 10 years ago, there's spots where I would hit a 9-iron, and I'm somebody's whole Papa J now. So I'm hitting 7-iron from that same place I used to hit 9-iron. And you got to check that ego. And it's kind of like with Giannis, you got to check that ego. And the difference is Michael Jeffrey Jordan was like that. He was pure athleticism when he came into the league, and he developed the jump shot. And his jump shot at the end of his career, I'd put it up there against a lot of different people's. And Giannis has yet to transition to something different that he can score besides his sheer athleticism, which is uncanny and it's amazing. The other thing is that Trey, when you mentioned about do those other teams look at Giannis like that, I still think a lot of those other teams, because Shams said, shams, scams, whatever you want to call them, there's 12 teams looking at this right now. Potentially, allegedly.
Because
I still think.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
Well, looking at him, but
good.
again, to me the question is, what are you giving up? Because how many of those teams said we're not giving up this guy for Giannis? There's no way we're gonna get, what was it? Jaden McDaniels. You're not giving up Jaden McDaniels for Giannis? Well, what are we even talking about?
And that's where I was going real quick. That's where I was going, JT. I was going that they think that they're really going to give us lemonade, but in all actuality, they're going to give us piss for Giannis. And it's because it's Milwaukee number one. Our shit was going to be dialed down regardless because it's Milwaukee. And, Adam Silver, I think he'd do better without having us in the league. And that's just the way I feel. I mean, there's no goddamn reason we don't have an all-star game in Milwaukee yet. We got an amazing arena. We got the Trade Hotel. Trey, what'd you say about that hotel?
Beautiful hotel. Great hotel.
You got one of the best. You got one of the best arenas in all of sports, right? Let's just call it like the Fiserv Forum. That's one of the best arenas, right? I mean, if you want to get technical, go stadiums. Still, that's one of the best. I don't know why we don't have that. I mean, I see the argument for we don't have hotels, but award it to us and let us figure it out, right? Let us figure it out. We can figure out lodging in Milwaukee, but the thing that I have, and 2 points I'll make. First one is, to be clear, I think Giannis can still play at a very high level. I just don't know for how long, and does that high level mean high level for 50 games? Does that mean high level with a 60-game max, right? that's the question. That's the first point. I think the second point I'll make is there's a ton of teams who I think would be much better with Giannis on their team. Can you imagine if the Spurs could pull that off, or even the Heat? Right, Giannis is. I could 100% see Giannis being a SPO guy, or even OKC. That's another team. Do they want to mortgage that?
Zula.
Does Golden State want to do it? There's a ton of teams. I think there's going to be no shortage of interest in Giannis. I really do. I think what did Golden State offer at the trade deadline? Was it 5 ones? And Draymond 5 ones and 3 players, 4 ones and 3 players.
I'm not exactly sure what it was, but one of those guys was it Wiggins?
I thought it was Pods too.
Yeah, Golden State offered like 3 or 4 players and 4 ones for Giannis, and they said that the Bucks, they didn't think the Bucks were serious because the Bucks weren't returning phone calls and were just kind of trying to gauge a market, trying to go to market.
Right.
You said what?
I wouldn't be serious for Pods either, or the Cum Bucket, or Jonathan Kuminga, or Draymond Green.
I meant Kuminga.
Oh, Kuminga. But I mean, still, like,
who the hell is calling him the Cum Bucket?
That was like a Twitter thing a couple of years ago. I don't know. I guess
hey,
I'm online.
no.
But to me, right, like, I think, you know, you see all these reports at the deadline, and you see what they were potentially offering, those reports, and what team was offering which. And I think it just goes back to it all depends on what happens in the playoffs. Like, yeah, you could say that San Antonio wasn't willing to give up Steph Castle, or, I don't know, Devin Vassell, or whatever. What's the other guy? Keldon Johnson, whatever they were holding back on, right? Like, or De'Aaron Fox, whoever it was. But when they get into the playoffs, and if they lose to the Oklahoma City Thunder, I guarantee you they'll be willing to give up an extra pick or an extra player, because they're going to be able to see that, okay, this isn't working, let's go make the desperation move. That's why waiting to the offseason was so appealing to me, right? You even look at teams, I don't know, the Rockets, maybe Jabari Smith Jr.
Rockets doing it. I can see the Rockets doing it.
Jabari Smith Jr., he might be on the table if they can't figure it out with him, and he's missing shots in the playoffs. They might bring him as a scapegoat, or Şengün, or whoever it is. Like, there are teams out there that may not have been willing to go make a midseason trade and go try to win a championship with Giannis. They would rather just run it with the core that they have. And then if it doesn't work, if OKC runs through the West, or vice versa with the East, or whoever it is there, like, I think there will be more suitors, and they will be more willing at this point in Giannis's career.
You know why, Chris? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Justin.
Oh, I heard a rumor today. You know, I listen to a lot of sports radio, man. I'm not denying my unk status, like the dude that started the show that couldn't read the stuff that was in the super chat, but, you know, needs glasses. But we'll digress from that, right? JT, we're gonna let that one go, right, JT? Oh, we gonna call him. We gonna call him baby. Help him out.
I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it slide.
I would do this, and I would do it in a heartbeat. I don't need no picks back. I would send Boston. I would send them to Boston.
Boston not gonna do it. They're not gonna do it.
Such great things to say. No, but there's a rumor that if they don't do X, Y, and Z, they want to break up JT and Jaylen Brown. So what I do with Boston, hey, give me JT. I don't need no picks, and you can take Giannis.
I'm gonna tell you.
Let me say one thing about them hotels real quick, and then I'll be quiet. Now, you got dude and JT, because you talked about the hotels, and that's what Silver allegedly is alluding to. The hotels was good enough for Trump to hold a convention there, and they were good enough for Biden and them guys to hold a convention a couple years before that, allegedly. So if we got the presidents that can come to Milwaukee, I don't see why the NBA All-Star can't go there. All right, go ahead, Trey. Sorry.
I'm gonna tell you what, Boston would never do it, because Boston as an organization, number one, they don't lose trades. They don't lose them. They would not be stupid enough to break up that group, either Jaylen Brown or Tatum. They won a championship. The difference with Boston is it don't matter what team they put out, they're gonna be competitive. They can put out whatever group they want to put out, they're gonna be competitive. Hell, you could argue right now they're the favorite. They had Jay Tatum was out all year. You could argue they're the favorites right now in the East. You can make that argument. You can make it right. You can make that argument right now. Because I saw the same rumor you saw, if you believe that they would win the East, or if you believe they're a good enough team to do it, And the fact that Tatum's still it's still miraculous that he's even back. Just because they fall short in the second round, there's not a chance you would give up what's necessary to get Giannis. That would just be organization. What Chris said it. Losing would cause a team an organization to be desperate. I could see Houston as desperate. I couldn't see San Antonio. I could see Minnesota. I could see them getting desperate. There's some teams that I could see that might get desperate to do something. Orlando, I can see them getting desperate. Boston does not strike me as a desperate organization where they would mortgage their future to go try to do something that, like I said, again, at best, you extend the window 3 years. Jaylen Brown, Jay Sims are both much younger. There's just I'd do one of JT's. I'd give you $500 if they you ain't gotta give me nothing back. I'd give you $500 if the Bucks trade Giannis to Boston for Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown. It's not happening.
I will say this. I still think my thought process is the Spurs are the dark horse here because they have all those guards to give up. And you know what I think? I think that, the Spurs weren't willing to part with all these people, just what Chris King said. But then the playoffs, because the playoffs are like what? That's a clear shower curtain. That's going to expose everything. Everything you got, you're going to see it when the playoffs come. The playoffs are a lot different than the regular season. And I think that, if the Spurs have a significant deficiency and they realize, hey, we need to pair somebody with Wemby, oh boy. Yeah, that would be absolutely insane if they could do that.
But I get it. And I'm not denying that would be a great 2-year run and you could potentially win a championship.
That's the Tim Duncan, David Robinson.
But
that's exactly what that is.
But that would be insanely short-sighted of them. I just don't see why. Because now, listen to this. I can see them jumping in the race, and maybe I'll give you a bone here or there. But I'm talking about like to get the real capital that I would think the Bucks would want back. Oh yeah, you talking about it's got to be more than just one of them. You got to really bring. So yeah, I can see that if they could try to swindle the Bucks to do it. Oh, I'd do it in a heartbeat. But even if they lost to OKC, why would I? OKC just showed you the model. Get your young player, get your superstar player with young players, and you can repeat this over and over and over. Everybody believes that OKC is going to be in this for like the next 5-6 years. Why would you close your window down by bringing an aging player? That's not the model anymore. The Bucks tried that model. I'll give up whatever to go get Damian Lillard. That's the model that I don't think works anymore. That's the model that's not working. Houston, let's go get KD. That's the model that's like, is that actually going to work? And I think you started to see, we'll see what happens this offseason, but you started to see before the deadline and last offseason, teams are not willing to do it anymore. They gave 5 picks from Mikal Bridges. People said that was stupid. You're getting laughed at doing that.
Who they give up 4 pick buddy from Desmond Bain. Desmond Bain got what, 4 ones? Did he get 5 ones? 4 or 5 ones?
It was 4, but it was really 3 because they had one of them was getting off of KCP, and they were so one of the first rounders was to take away the KCP contracts. I mean, it was 4, but it was really 3. But even that's a rich deal. What did when they traded Cat? What did he get? What did they the Rudy Gobert the 7? Those days are done. And because that's not how team building works anymore in the NBA. If this was 5 years ago, the Bucks could have wrote a ticket for what they wanted, and anybody would have paid the King's ransom. Again, I do agree somebody will probably get desperate. I just think, for example, Atlanta would be stupid. Atlanta would be stupid to move real. I'm talking about real pieces. If you and not really have to move anybody that you really love, sure. But to do it and really, really give up the capital as well as the players that the Bucks probably want, I just think you'd be incredibly short-sighted to do.
So is the reason why the Tatum conversation is because there's some dysfunction between Tatum and Brown, and that's why they want to kind of get off of it? Because that kind of puts Boston at the default. I mean, there's not a lot of guys in this league that I would just straight up do the 1 for. And I know Tatum's coming off that terrible Achilles injury. But man,
I don't think that either because they if you remember, Justin, They had those rumors before Boston won the title with those guys. They got to break it.
Right.
You remember who was doing? You remember who was doing all the talk?
Who?
The guy who was doing the most talk about you got to break them up. You got to break them up. The guy they don't invite around there no more. Perk. Perk is not liked in Boston. They hate. They don't let Perk come to anything anymore. Like all the legends come back to Boston. Perk don't get no invites because he was shit. He got up on it again. Got on his high horse. Got on ESPN. And to ascend at ESPN, he had to, you got to take shots. And he was all over the Tatum Brown can't work. Remember, he was when I take the line of, he was the one talking about if you take, who is it he said, if you take such and such head, put in a bird, it would fly backward. He was doing all that kind of talk. They don't mess with him in Boston, man. I think he said it about Missoula. And then they won a title. And now he looks stupid. And he don't get to come back. But my point is, they were doing that talk about Tatum and Brown before, and they won a championship. The rumors have been there. I don't know if that's. I just don't know if it's true. Mark Gomes says the deal is
Derek White.
Pritchard. Hell, that'd be. Why would I do that?
What? Yeah,
that's crazy. White, Pritchard, and I know for a fact Pritchard would get to Milwaukee and be complete. All them shots he'd be ass in Milwaukee. That's that. He's good in Boston. I don't believe Peyton Pritchard be in it. I don't believe he'd do anything anywhere else. That's that Boston stuff where you shave your head and you all of a sudden anyway. I ain't going there. All right, I did want to talk about Doc. Are we good on? Yeah, we went a little longer, Giannis. So I thought we were. Y'all good on the Giannis conversation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Vals, I disagree. I do think women Giannis, it looks good on paper. I think it would look good in. I think it would look good in principle too. Yeah, and Mark, if that's reported, no. Mark said that's the reported deal. No, the whole point was no. I saw the report that was Sam Amick, and it was the talking about Brown or Tatum. That was I didn't see whatever deal White, Pritchard, and three. I didn't see that. Okay, let me.
They're reporting that John Horst is doing the right thing by not responding to phone calls.
Yeah, there's no. Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, but Mark goes. The whole thing that was intriguing today was the fact that it was JB or Jason Tatum. Now ain't nobody listening to Peyton Pritchard. I listen, man. Somebody, whoever made that deal, I think you should do the same thing, Nico. Like you should be getting harassed at restaurants in the city if you made a deal for Peyton Pritchard and Derek White. I'll do Jace Bucks. He said this a couple times now. I think. He says Mobley. Would you do? I'll do one more before we go to Doc. What do you think about Mobley? Would you do Mobley? That's another team, Chris. To your point about desperation, and Cavs another team that I can see. And the other sneaky thing about the Cavaliers too. They're talking about rumors. LeBron and his would he go back to Cleveland last year? Could you have LeBron? Harden, Donovan Mitchell, Giannis? I don't know if the money works on that. But I don't know that'd be interesting.
Just the Cavs don't have enough in the margins, I don't think. Like I don't know that Mobley is like I wouldn't be willing to take like the big piece of the trade be Evan Mobley. Like he's
a defensive player of the year candidate.
I mean he is, but the upside from where he is at now does not seem like it's very high.
Can we build around Mobley?
Yeah,
that's the question.
I just don't think the ceiling from where he's at now can get much higher. Like if you're talking about a Steph Castle, I'm like, okay, I'm looking at this guy as all-star every year.
And to your point, I probably tend to agree with you. But let me add, but let's go to let's go to the report. The reported deal that got closest was Tyler Hero stuff in Miami and Tyler Hero and Khalil Ware as the centerpieces of a trade. That was what the Bucks said, I guess, or at least that was reported, got the closest to getting done. I don't know what are the other pieces that were involved, but Tyler Hero and Ware, does that and some picks there and maybe a couple other players, does that intrigue you at all?
I mean, we kind of hit on this. Yeah, we kind of hit on it. Like I would have thought it would been like, I would have been a little underwhelmed if that was the trade. Probably, I probably would have been just a little bit underwhelmed because again, like I think the ceiling of both of those players are still not very very much higher than what they are now. So like I want guys that I know, like when we talked about Jalen Johnson, when we talk about guys like Steph Cat, like I know that those guys can be like all NBA first team guys. Like I don't know if Tyler Hero and Khalil Ware have that. And so that's what I would have been wanting, but at this point, like again, the market is telling you what we're being offered. Like, are we even going to get those caliber players for Giannis at this point?
So I think Tyler Hero's he was an all-star a couple years ago. I think Tyler Hero's an immense talent in this league, but I got to aid to the Racine Park legend Caron Butler, and he talked about how it is when you play at the crib and you got so many different people asking you for tickets, a different level of pressure on you. And I'm not going to say Tyler Hero's fragile, but I don't think he can really handle all that. Like he needs to stay outside of Milwaukee and just keep being dope on his end and, make those great Brewers hats for lids and do stuff like that. And, big up to the 414, but Where kind of intrigues me though. I think he can grow into something potentially, but I mean, for us, and I think the thing with us, and like, man, one of my OGs always taught me, man, like, you got to take the emotions out of it, and it got to be just business. But it's hard for us as Bucks fans because we are trading the franchise for Hero and Ware, and that'll never sit right with me.
Kind of like the Kuz thing.
Well, so one question I gotta ask you guys is like here's the thing. Here's kind of where I'm at with this. There's not a whole lot that's gonna feel like commensurate value for Giannis, and I think I've got to just be real about that and say, like there's just not a whole lot. Just because when you look at the emotion, when you look at what he's been, when you look at how good he's been, you rattle off the resume, you rattle how he was a franchise changer, you rattle off how he's a generational player, there's not a whole lot that's going to impress me when you say, if you tell me we get 4 first-round picks, right? It's like, okay, I need a little bit more. And so that's the other thing that I think Bucks fans have to brace themselves for. And understand these trade talks, this might get painful because just what you just said, Tyler Hero, Khalil for Giannis, right? Like that doesn't quite do it. Evan Mobley for Giannis, I'm not moved, right? Like so I think in order for us to get comfortable here, it may take some time because again, we're not giving him away, and we're under no obligation to do him any favors. So if he submits a list of 5 teams, great, right? They better be 5 teams that got something to give us, or that's not going to work, right? It's like, part of me thinks that another dark horse is potentially the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks could try to trade for him. I could see that happening, right? But what you gonna give us in
they
return?
offer you absolutely.
I don't know if they're a dark horse. That was a reported trade from.
That was a destination too.
From this past summer.
But they don't have the assets because they blew it all on Mikal Bridges.
Well, and that's what they have to get some picks. But at the end of the day, we taking everything they got. Not named.
What do they have?
And that's the thing. That's exactly.
I want Karl-Anthony Towns.
I want OG.
Give me Brunson. I want Jalen Brunson.
They're not. Yeah, that doesn't make. Yeah, so they would never do that.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's just one of those things where we have to get comfortable with at least acknowledging the fact that very little is going to sound like commensurate value for Giannis.
Yeah. So that's why you build John Horst a statue, because the fact not answering the phone call, he's one of us. You haven't given me enough, so hey, I'm gonna put you on. What y'all do, Chris? D&D, is that what it's called?
Yep.
That's what they do.
Yep.
Yeah. Put the NBA on D&D.
Yeah.
John Horst had to see what was outside for a little bit. That's why he said, we were on Drake. I had to know what was coming. He had to know what was coming his way, right? He went out of town and hopped on Tinder. He said, hey, what's up with it, right? He got on Bumble. He got on Hinge or whatever. He had to see what the market was working with to formulate his strategy. That's what I'm thinking. Now, the interesting thing, though, is does John Horst, is he the one that sees this thing through? Or does there another GM that ends up pulling the trigger on this thing and making this decision? That remains to be seen as well.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, JT. That you're right. Typically, if you're the team that is trading the best player is going to lose. At least let me say this. At least to start with, that's going to be the team that's perceived to lose the trade. Just like Dallas, you trade Luka, you're going to be perceived that you traded the better player between the two. You're going to be perceived as losing the trade. That's just how it goes. All right, I do want to talk about Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers has some interesting comments today. Where do you start with Doc? He basically goes he basically refutes. Let me say this. He didn't outright refute the reporting from Shams, but he comes out, like I said, on the couple shows we talked about earlier, he said a number of things, one of which he kind of it's so funny how often, and again, it's Doc Rivers. This is Doc Rivers' report, so I'm not saying that we are right about anything. But how many times we come on here and we go, I think Shams embellished that. I don't know if I'm not saying he lied, but I don't know if it happened like that. And that's basically what Doc Rivers got up there and said. No, I didn't say Google me. There was a guy who was talking about check. See that again? That's a diff. That it's so funny because when you hear that Doc Rivers looked at players and said, "Google me, look at my Google me." That's like, damn, who do you? That's kind of crazy. But then you get a little more context from. Again, it's like JT. You know how these things go. You get in litigation. There's one side, there's the other side. Truth's always in the middle. So I'm talking about in every case. I'm talking about the most heinous crimes. It's never that somebody just attacks. There's always a reason. Not most time. There's always a reason. Nobody just get up and unless something's wrong, nobody just get up and stab you in the throat for no reason. I'm not saying the reason justified, but there's always some reason. There's something you did, and I'm not victim blaming, but something you did set that person off. They shouldn't have did what they did, but something you did. So again, when you say the doctor said, Google me. Well, no, Doc Rivers said, well, I had a guy who said, check my stats. And basically, Doc said, I got stats too. What are you talking about? Yeah, look at my stats. And again, and this is the other thing, I did not realize this was gonna I didn't realize it was gonna have 500,000 people look at this tweet. But I quick was like, oh, that was Cam Thomas. There's nobody else. And Doc was like, I think we all know who I'm talking about. He was clearly talking about Cam Thomas when he first got to Milwaukee. Was like, hey, I'm Cam Thomas. I get buckets. Who else would have said, check my stat? He just came from a situation in Brooklyn where he was disgruntled and arguing with the coaches. And then you come to Milwaukee and Doc's going down the line talking to everybody. Oh, there's no question. And then they got rid of him in the middle of the season. He had to be causing problems. So there's no question it was Cam Thomas. And then what we also found out from Doc Rivers, allegedly, is that Shams was so upset that Doc Rivers made a joke about Giannis trading Shams in the Celebrity All-Star game, that Shams called the Bucks and called the NBA to have because the Bucks like posted the clip of Doc Rivers saying it and asked for it to be taken down. That's what I'm saying. So it's funny what Doc Rivers did there was flip the script on everything. And again, it's so funny because we get on the show every night and I go, man, again, not saying that Shams is lying, but it seems like he attacks the Bucks often. And it's always a story. We went over the other night and talked about all the stories that are going on in the NBA. Playoffs about to start. The thing about Kawhi Leonard, these stories about gambling, all these stories are coming. Shams is, and again, he might touch it here and there, but he's story after story after story after story. It seems like he has a vendetta against the Milwaukee Bucks. And Doc Rivers basically confirms it. Oh, yeah, no, he does hate our guts. And that's why he's doing this. And then it makes sense. And that's what Doc Rivers is like, no, it wasn't this big thing going on in the locker room. You had one guy, and he said it was probably agents who are doing all this talking to Shams. And he said every locker room has one guy. So Shams write an entire hit piece on the Bucks based upon essentially, I'm not saying he didn't have it confirmed, but one guy going scorched earth because he was mad about what happened. That seems to be some of the case. And the last thing I say is Doc Rivers did, and it's going to be interesting to see what Shams does here. Doc Rivers has put Shams in the Stephen A. Smith box. And what I mean by that is Stephen A. Smith, for a long time, used to get on TV and pontificate about every situation, going boom, 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 punch shot, punch at everybody. And nobody really, I'm not saying nobody's seen it in the media before, but he did it a little different. And now, if you notice Stephen A. Smith, he's been doing it so long and media's changed, and now players have more of a voice and doing their own thing. They now push way back at Stephen A. Smith. And Stephen A. Smith spends as much time as anybody I've seen defending his own name and going after people for calling him out. Instead of just talking about the game and talking about what he doesn't like, he now has to. Have you seen him? If somebody say something about him, you don't want to mess with me. You don't want Steve. He'll get on TV like almost threatening people, threatening LeBron. He don't like me and I don't like him. Nobody does that. And my point there is, Doc Rivers is right there. You go, there you go, there you go. And my point there is, Shams has just basically been a media member where he just reports things and reports rumors, reports fact, and everybody leaves him. But this is the first time I've really seen a person of the stature of Doc Rivers call Shams out and say he's lying a little bit about this. And it ain't just because he's getting a story. He's doing this on purpose. And I think the question I'm interested to see if Shams goes the Stephen A route and starts to defend his own name, or if he just lets it go and just continues to report on the Bucks. But it's clear that, again, I'm not saying he's lying. He clearly has any people in the organization. Clearly he's around and in the stories. And when there's smoke, there's fire. There's some truth to things that are happening. But I think he's upset that he got played in the offseason because he thought Giannis was going to get traded and it didn't happen. And then you have all this going on. I think he's upset that the Bucks basically are trolling him. And again, it's an interesting dynamic. But yeah, Shams he's definitely not gonna let it go. But I'm just interested to see if he responds to Doc Rivers at all.
But keep in mind, though, the thing about Shams is that he's a breaking news insider guy. He's not your first take. He's not. I've never one time seen Shams ever go back and forth with anybody. If anything, he's the guy they roll in for 10 minutes. So now we're going to Shams. Here's the inside report. And he literally reads some sort of version of a monologue or whatever and keeps this thing pushing. Thanks. Back to you, right? It's like the Adam Schefter type role. Pop in, pop out, get in, get out. I'm going to drop some news here and I'm going to keep it pushing. No one is ever going to push back against what I'm saying, right? And so he's built this whole thing that he's become credible in large part because Woj is gone, right? And did Woj leave St. Bonaventure? Chris, does anybody know? Is he still there? Is Woj still there too? Right? So he's become this, but I agree. You put Shams on the defensive, so now he has to defend his. So what does Shams do? Does Shams double down and release more stuff? How does Shams do this? Because you are right. You kind of put him on his back now. Now Shams got to, either you're going to fight back or you're going to ignore it, or you're just going to start releasing more stuff. You're never going to actually directly address it.
Well, one thing about Shams, and I think most of us have learned from the past years, that like he does go on Pat McAfee a lot. And the McAfee show, like they'll ask him directly, and I think he'll probably have to address this. And so it'll be interesting to see. I'm with Mark though in the chat where he says truth is somewhere in the middle. I think that there's too much talk probably going on from agents and players and stuff like that getting to Shams, but also like I was proud that Doc was able to go and take a stand for himself, take a stand for the Bucks a little bit today, because it's like, okay, you can do all this reporting, well, I can do it too. The season is basically lost. There's nothing to play for right now, and I may be on my way out, so let me just clear up anything that was misconstrued. And I do think there's a lot of embellishing these stories from Shams, and of course just magnifying this stuff, because there's nothing else. There's no team like us right now. There's realistically no other team that is dealing with this kind of turmoil off the court, and there's no bigger star that is at the forefront of these conversations and discussions and news stories than Giannis Antetokounmpo. So, like, I think that Shams definitely benefits from doing this stuff as a guy who wants to get that, to drive that media interaction and attention to ESPN, because we know his reporting is a little flawed and it's not as good as maybe Woj once was. But if you can do it on the opposite end by just generating clicks and generating drama and mentions and stuff like that, that may be just as valuable, because we know ESPN is hiring a lot of people for that sole reason of like, we just want eyeballs. And so I just think that, you know, Shams is doing things to certainly get more eyes, more attention, draw more attention. We just happen to be the victims of it.
Let me ask y'all a question, because Christian, you bring up a really good point. I just think about this. Do you think Shams maybe thinks that he can get away with some of this because it is the Milwaukee Bucks and most of the national media guys are completely clueless when it comes to talking about this team here? So he probably, you know, so you would probably think that, hey, there's this intrigue around Giannis here. I can break these stories. I can say some of this stuff, and I'm not going to really have anybody kind of fact check me unless it's a player or somebody themselves, because what other reporter, what other person has this insight? I mean, yes, you got Eric Name. Yes, you got Lloyd. You got a handful here. But from a national perspective, who's really there to check it? Who's really there to push back on any of this? It's just him, right? Like it's literally just. I mean, I'm just trying to think. Is there anybody national that really does a deep dive into the Bucks like this consistently? I mean, I know Aldridge has done a couple, but like who else is there?
No, absolutely. I think it's that way. But I mean, I think the thing is, they've been trying to get Giannis out of Milwaukee for 6, 7, 8 years now. So the one time they're finally right, he's going to have a victory parade down whatever city he's from. I think the biggest thing that I took from all the Doc Rivers stuff today was he talked about we're losing, we're bad, we suck. My words, not his. Of course there's dysfunction. No one's going to go through the type of stuff that we went through this year. Remember, we were up 20 points to the Chicago Bulls in the third quarter and lost by double digits to them. Of course there's going to be a bunch of dysfunction there. Of course there's going to be this guy allegedly saying, hey, keep your head up. Don't worry about what the coach is saying. And stuff like that. But Shams is going to take the smallest thing he can and run with it. And it's okay. But I feel like, I hear the middle stuff. I just feel like Shams is on a rich hunt now to kind of get back at the Milwaukee Bucks for the clown that they made him look like that he is. And whether it's Giannis, whether it's Doc, whether it's Horst, whether it's Edens, whether it's Kuzma, whether it's Alex Antetokounmpo, whoever he can get on the chopping block, he's going to do it. And he's not going to rest until Giannis is on a different team, in my opinion.
Well, I'll also say, like, it's very convenient for them to start all this reporting and increase that reporting when the Bucks are bad. When you look at how this basketball team was when they were winning all the time, first seed in the East, and they go and win a championship and stuff, there was virtually nothing coming out of the Milwaukee Bucks. And then you went and got Dame, and you start to see a little bit more reporting from Chris Haynes. You start to see a little more reporting from Shams, and everybody ate it up. Everybody ate it up. Now, of course, people were going to ask the questions about Giannis and what does he have to prove when he didn't have a championship and stuff like that. But for a while there, after he won the championship, it was kind of smooth sailing because they knew he was able to finally get it done in Milwaukee. And then Shams came around, Chris Haynes came around, Dame came around, and it just seems like it has just multiplied every single season, and especially now that we are a bad basketball team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, all of that. Last thing on Doc, I asked you guys. He did say that there's a potential that he'll be back. He said he's leaving basically all options. He said a couple times I was leaving all options on the table. He said he wants to spend time with his kids or his grandkids. It sounds like he set up a front office role, something like that for him. Do you want Doc back in any type of role, in any capacity with his basketball team, or do you think he needs to be away from the Milwaukee Bucks entirely? I'll go first real quick. I'm okay with Doc being for stuff like this because Doc is really good. Like, for whatever it's worth, he can't coach anymore in modern NBA, but for this kind of stuff, to be a mouthpiece for the organization, he does great with the media. This is kind of stuff I'd love to send Doc Rivers out to refute reports and to do things like this. As long as but I really wouldn't want to have him having a lot of decision-making ability over the team. But just what are your thoughts on latest reports on Doc in his future?
Time. I think it's certainly time. Quite honestly, I don't think this should have happened in the first place. I get it. I understand that. There's nothing we could do about that too. But I think that look, your front office may be better with Doc Rivers in some sort of capacity. He may, and maybe he's consultant, maybe he's special assistant, maybe he just gets a title. I know Doc has deep ties to the Milwaukee community, and I think Doc will be a tremendous ambassador for this Bucks team. No question about that. And I think that, having his voice and his experience, sure, if you want to have him somewhere in that front office or as an ear to ownership about basketball ops, have right at it, right? But I think to just today's game, I think the game has passed Doc Rivers. I think it did before this. Doc Rivers asked the question of, remember in his opening press conference, I'm not sure why they did this. And Doc, to be honest, we weren't sure either, right? But at the end of the day, 3 years, Doc, thank you for your service. This thing is over. Wrap it up.
Yeah, to me, it kind of just depends on what kind of role he would be accepting, right? Because I think you really haven't seen all that much of like misevaluation of talent to me. I think he's kind of been dealt with what he has, and he's had a lot of injuries along the way. And so I think if it was something about talent, and I think he would be an ambassador for college basketball. I mean, we haven't drafted a guy out of college since Ajax, I don't believe. And maybe, I don't know, maybe Mamu, was he after Ajax? Nah. Yeah, Ajax, I think. So, or maybe Livingston at the 60th pick or something. But anyway, I don't think he's been bad at talent evaluation necessarily. So if it's something in that kind of role, I wouldn't be mad at it. But yeah, I just think, again, we've talked about Doc all season long. Of course, he wasn't going to retire, because why would you if you could, probably retire and not be able to collect some checks still. So I just feel like it is time. I think the game has passed them up. I think it would just do the Milwaukee Bucks a lot of favors to go and grab a young coach. You see it all over the league where some young coaches have been able to step in and do some good things immediately. And so I think that'll probably benefit the Bucks in the long run to just make that decision now.
I think a healthy parting of ways is good for the Milwaukee Bucks and Doc Rivers. I don't think the Milwaukee Bucks deserve some of the stuff we've seen this year, and I don't think Doc has either. I think one thing about Doc, though, he's great at developing these guards. He's done a phenomenal job in his career of doing it. By the way, he was one of those guards. I mean, we talked about the last show. You had clowns in the chat talking about Kyle Kuzma has a championship. He has a championship too. Yeah, he didn't lead the Boston Celtics to a championship. Oh, by the way, Kyle Kuzma's never made an All-Star game. Doc made it in '88, by the way. Just saying. We can only talk
how
about.
Does that help me today?
We can only talk about what Doc plays. But all I'm gonna say is Doc was a good point guard when he played the game. So he's helped guys like Ryan Rollins get better. He's helped guys like KPJ, for whatever's left of him, to get better. I think he's unleashed the confidence in AJ Green. And I think that him in a front office situation would be great for him. He sees talent, and he's forgotten more about basketball than half of those guys, and he can go to Jimmy Haslam. I mean, y'all can give me all this pushback about Doc Rivers. I got hell of accomplishments. He's a goddamn Hall of Fame coach.
Brother,
how many Hall of Fame coaches we have for the Milwaukee Bucks? Do you know him?
Hold on.
He was 9 for the Bucks. He was 96 of the 100 coaching for the Bucks.
And JT
Hall
of Famer. There's some questions. Listen, that is not Doc Rivers being a Hall of Famer. There are some arguments that are equally as strong that he should not be. Right, but let's just be honest here. This is a push. You can name his accomplishments as to why he should be. But boy, you can make a hell of a lot of arguments as to why he should not be. I mean,
make them.
You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and let you, because since I had you so mad on the golf course, and I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna let you start with this, Justin. Tell me how Doc Rivers. Basically, tell me how great Doc Rivers' legacy is as a coach. You already alluded to it with guard development and everything else here. Go ahead.
You want the guards?
No, I just want you to tell me, right? Because you talk about Doc being this Hall of Fame coach, this remarkable coach.
Well, let's look at his first year. Let's look at his first year coaching. He won Coach of the Year.
with the Magic.
170, 171 and 168 with a feudal Orlando Magic team that lost Shaquille O'Neal that couldn't do shit. Mm-hmm. Let's look at what he did for the Boston Celtics, a championship, and went to the finals. You say he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. I'm looking at Don Nelson, Milwaukee Bucks legend, never even went to the finals. Hall of Famer. He got more wins than Doc Nelson, so I get it. Jerry Sloan, never won a championship. Hall of Famer. Oh, George Karl, less wins than Doc Rivers. Hall of Famer. Rick Alderman, less wins than Doc Rivers. Hall of Famer. Only team that he's lost in is the Milwaukee Bucks. Philly, 154 and 82. They talked about, oh, well, he couldn't get out the first round. He couldn't do this. He couldn't do that. What has Nick Nurse did since he left? What did it take the Clippers to do something after he left? Oh, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard? And they still ain't eclipsed the wins that he had in LA. So we can talk about what he's did in Milwaukee, allegedly, but we can't talk about the rest of his resume. Like he told you, Google that shit.
So by and large, and Justin, I hear you, Doc Rivers, and to give him credit here, right? I think his high water marks, he's sixth all time in wins.
Yeah, come on, JT. You can't got 6 all time in wins and not have a Hall of Fame. Everybody gets in the basketball Hall of Fame. I don't know what's the argument. Everybody gets in the basketball Hall of Fame.
Here's the thing. He's 6 all time in wins, and his high water mark is what? Boston Celtics team that won 24 games a year before him. He gets there. They turn around and win what? 66. They go 66 and 16, and they win that championship in 2008. That's Doc Rivers' high water mark, right? And he did that. And then I believe Boston went to another championship. What was it? 2010, 2012. Maybe it was 2012.
Yep, 2010.
Right? They didn't
lost to Kobe.
Right? But 2010, 2012, right? So that's the high water mark of Doc Rivers. And you had him in that Orlando team. That Orlando team, they were up 3-1 against the Detroit Pistons team, right? And they were the 8th seed, and Detroit Pistons were the 1 seed. They were up 3-1. It fell apart for him. But you got to go ahead and give him, that's a hell of a, because that was back in like 2002 or so, maybe 2000. That's back when they thought, remember when the Magic thought that Grant Hill was going to come back and he wasn't there and there was all that other nonsense too. So he had all that going too, right? And I think that you got to definitely look at that. By the way, as much as you knock Jerry Sloan made it to the Western Conference Finals 6 times, made it to the NBA Finals twice. Jerry Sloan had 13 50-win seasons. You know how many Doc had? 10.
Oh, I didn't knock Jerry Sloan. I just said he never won a championship.
You knocking Jerry Sloan. You're knocking Jerry Sloan what 1,000 wins with one franchise, right? Like, come on, bro. You gotta put some respect on Jerry Sloan, man. Don't do that. Don't do that because you're making that ring. You're making that ring with Doc seem like that's the determining factor. And I'm gonna tell you right now, if the championship ring is a determining factor and longevity, right? That's the argument for Doc Rivers. If you're gonna argue anything about Rivers, you're gonna argue that his longevity, he was around 26 years, which of course, 26 years and won some. Yeah, okay, fine. But I'm gonna tell you what, Rick Carlisle's 11th all time in wins. And Rick Carlisle, by no means, is a great coach at all. But you know what Rick Carlisle's got? The same postseason resume that Doc Rivers does, a championship and another deep playoff run as well. And I don't think Rick Carlisle is a great coach at all. But if you're going to argue Doc Rivers, okay, well, that longevity, okay. Well, then by the Doc Rivers argument, Rick Carlisle deserves to be in the NBA. Rick Carlisle will eventually deserve to be in the NBA Hall of Fame. That's crazy.
He will go to the NBA Hall of Fame.
So what?
Carlisle will go to the NBA Hall of Fame. Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. And it was Rick Carlisle. And is Rick Carlisle a dominant coach? Was Rick Carlisle known for dominance in the postseason? Was Rick Carlisle known for consistently being able to get it done over long periods of time? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Well, Rick Carlisle developed quite a few Hall of Fame basketball players.
But quite a few basketball players doesn't make you a Hall of Famer, sir. That's the criteria's got to be stronger than that. The criteria has to be stronger than who did he develop. Your criteria has to be based on what? Regular season success, postseason success, 50-win seasons, win percentage, right? Like there's a lot that goes into that. And what I'm saying about Doc Rivers,
Doc got all that.
But what I'm saying, no, but he doesn't.
JT, if I'm using your logic, the only 2 coaches that should be in the Hall of Fame is Phil Jackson and Red Auerbach.
No, Phil Jackson, Red Auerbach. I think Spoelstra belongs in there. I think Kerr belongs in there. I think Pop belongs in there. I think there's a hell of a lot of coaches that. Lenny. And again, Lenny Wilkens. I get it. He's the first brother in the Hall. I think that's right? Like he's the first black coach in the Hall of Fame. So I get that. I understand that. I understand some of what you're saying. Right? I didn't think George Karl. I thought George Karl's record was spotty to get in the Hall of Fame, but he somehow made it in. right? Again, my whole point about Doc Rivers is that if you look at all of his postseasons, all of his postseason in totality, it has been incredibly underwhelming. Yes, you had a few good years, but brother, you haven't been past the second round since 2012. Those of y'all who count at home, that's 14 years. Come on, man. I mean, and
when you look at those when you look at those franchises that he left, they've never eclipsed the mark after he left.
But Justin, Doc Rivers had personnel. Doc Rivers had elite rosters and couldn't get out the damn second round. That's an indictment on you. Listen, at some point.
Oh, is that an indictment? Is that an indictment on Doc Rivers, or is that an indictment on the players that are there?
Because at some point you got to be able to get it done.
Yes, you're not giving it. Dog, you're not giving it the full. Oh, you got it. You got a Joel Embiid hurt. You got a Paul George hurt. You got a young Tyrese Maxey, who, by the way, wouldn't be there without Doc. You got a Damian Lillard blowing shit out. You got a Giannis blowing shit out. You got a Chris Paul who can't stay healthy. You got a dysfunctional DeAndre Jordan, a Blake Griffin. Is it his fault he had to play with a bunch of dudes that weren't winning?
No. This is what you're doing here. Doc does this dance where he never takes accountability. Doc has never taken accountability for anything. And right now what you're doing is you're giving Doc a pass here. This is not his fault. This team is dysfunctional. This is your job. This is your team. Yes, if your team ultimately can't get that done, whose shoulders does that fall on? You can't say, he coached his ass off. They just couldn't get past it. That makes absolutely no sense. And if you're going to be a Hall of Famer, that means you're the absolute best of the best. So you're telling me the best of the best can't coach elite rosters and get it done, and it's not his fault?
So you taking Don Nelson out the Hall of Fame with it then too?
Don Nelson didn't have the roster
that Doc Rivers had. Wrong as shit.
Don Nelson didn't have the roster that Doc Rivers had.
What? All right, Doc. I get it, man. You watch a lot of that shit on Google and YouTube. You wrong as shit though. Like Doc. Listen, Doc was ranked by his peers as a top 15 coach of all time.
That's great.
Just by his peers.
And apparently Don Nelson was too.
Absolutely. Nelly was a great coach. First coach I ever saw in my life.
By his peers. And apparently Jerry Sloan was
JT,
too.
you're so off, it's ridiculous.
How off am I? I got to tell you, sir, I think I've been pretty accurate. I think the numbers and everything I've told you have been pretty accurate, sir.
You ain't been accurate on nothing. You say that Doc Rivers not a good coach because he lost in the first round. He lost in this, he lost in that. Nelly lost in the first round a hell of a lot of times, too.
Check the numbers.
That make Nelly weak?
Check the numbers, sir, because everything I told you is absolutely right. Listen, at the end of the day, from a winning percentage, from all record, if you look at his record in totality, it's underwhelming. It's underwhelming for a guy that you would think would be Hall of Fame. And the only argument you have for Doc Rivers is a longevity argument. That's it. Because you cannot talk about his postseason success like that.
No, you don't. You have the restoring franchises. What were the Los Angeles Clippers before Doc Rivers got there? You know? I know you don't. What were Orlando Magic before they got there?
Hold on. Getting a team to be a consistent second round out is a restoration? With an elite
so when they could barely make the playoffs. They could barely make the playoffs before he got there.
Okay, but did they have an elite roster before he got there? No. So think about this too, right? They didn't have an elite roster.
Wait. That Clippers roster is elite.
You said what?
That Clippers roster was elite.
Come on, bro. You talking about Lob City?
So Blake Griffin's a Hall of Famer. Who's a Hall of Famer on that Clippers team? Besides Chris Paul.
Justin, that's not that. Now you're not being intellect. You're being intellectually designed.
Now let's look it up.
Telling me that Clippers roster was not one of the best in the West. Seriously, tell me right now that Lob City with DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin, Chris Paul. You're telling me that was not one of the best rosters in the West.
No. They were fun to watch.
No, it wasn't. The fringe playoff
team. They were not elite. No. Who beat them every year?
Well, we can pull it up. You want to know? I mean, because I'm going to tell you, Doc Rivers found a lot of different ways to lose. Okay, 2014, let me see here. They lost in the conference second round. They lost against Houston. Oh, they blew a 3-1 lead against Houston in 2015. Lost in the first round
against Houston.
Lost in the first round of 2017. Lost in the first round of 2018. Do I sense a theme? Don't tell me they lost in the first round 3 straight years. Also, Doc's been doing this for a minute. That's what it is. Doc been doing this thing for a minute.
Who they lose to?
Baby, he true to this. Doc true to this.
So he lost.
Hey, brother.
He lost.
Hey, brother. Left the party with some drink. I'm coming to your party with the same drink. What's up?
Hey, JT. So first of all, you so far off with the fact. You so far off with the fact that a dude won a championship and you say, "Oh, it's longevity." A dude made another championship. It's still longevity. Hold on. You gonna let me talk, or you can keep talking your bullshit facts? What we doing? You gonna let me say my pointer? So he took a team, and what did he tell you when he said Google me? He said I took a bunch of teams that shouldn't be in the playoffs to the playoffs. Chris Paul, Hall of Famer. Another Hall of Famer. Wait, he saved the Orlando Magic franchise. Grant Hill wasn't there. Grant Hill was hurt every year. Tracy McGrady was barely there. Mm-hmm. Give me another coach that won Coach of the Year their first year coaching.
Mm-hmm. Steve Kerr.
He won Coach of the Year his first year?
I'm 99.9% sure Steve Kerr won Coach of the Year his first year. Didn't he win a championship his first year?
Oh, he won Coach of the Year his first year when he took over Mark Jackson's team. It's not the same thing. It's not the same. It's not the same thing of taking over the Orlando Magic team.
I'm pushing this Peloton across the room. Right now because you playing. Come on now.
Nah, dog. Hey. You so far off. It's ridiculous.
Brother, thank you. My GPS is accurate, sir. Listen, man. Listen. I'm not saying, and again, I never one time didn't say that Doc Rivers doesn't deserve to be a Hall of Fame. I'm just saying that the arguments for Doc Rivers not being are equally, if not stronger. That's all I'm saying, sir.
It's strong as hell.
What I'm saying though is that
he's 6 and wins. That's enough.
What does that mean? He's 6 and wins.
What does that mean?
You know what? Let me ask you a question. He's 6 and wins, right? But is wins the determining factor alone for if you should be in the Hall of Fame?
And this is gonna be the last question. Justin answered it. We're gonna have to keep this going another time.
I would
go ahead, take the last word. Take the last word, Justin.
So if you look at wins as a determining factor, if he's in the Hall of Fame, absolutely. Don Nelson is in there off the basis of wins. Rick Alderman is in there off the basis of wins. Jerry Sloan is in there off the basis of wins. He's won with franchises that have not won, with the exception of Philly in the 80s and the Bucks before he got here. Was he dealt a good hand when he came to the Milwaukee Bucks? Absolutely not. That's
a damn good hand.
Why I say you're off.
Doc Rivers wasn't dealt a good hand when he got to the Bucks.
Okay, wait. That's not story we've litigated before. I want to ask you guys on that note, because we got to keep rolling. But on that note, I do want to ask you guys a question. It kind of coincides with where you were going, JT, about wins and stats and longevity. Do you know that I believe DeMar DeRozan is now, I believe he's top 10 in points scored now. And there was he's getting there, something like that. I believe he just eclipsed and got to the top 10 points scored in NBA history. If somebody check me, I believe that's right. Because there's this thing going around, and the reason there's a big deal was because people were talking about, and they were going, well, when the guy, whoever was on Twitter, who like basically pointed out there, was like, not saying that DeMar DeRozan sucked, but it's like, he ain't really the guy you think. When you think of an all-time NBA, everybody think of in the NBA, and DeMar DeRozan is top 10 in points, it's like, So I guess my question, because if you're top 10 in points, that shows us, like, again, think about all the players in history and DeMar DeRozan. Am I right about? Was that what it was? Yeah. So I think that's what it was. I don't remember the argument. But when you think about that, is that not the same kind of art where you're talking about a guy who you probably say underachieved, didn't get to where he could have gotten to winning wise, but his numbers, when you look at what everybody looks at, first thing you look at, how many points he scored. DeMar DeRozan's up there with all the greats of all time. I guess that's the question, does it feel, from a player, is that underwhelming?
Man, wait, so DeMar DeRozan is 10th, you said, all time in points?
I want to make sure I got the Let me make sure I'm doing this right, because let me make sure. Hold on.
They saying Doc Hoff, heck out of Fiserv.
My bad. So he just moved into here. That's what it was. He just moved into 16th place. Let me say this, when he's all said and done, he will be top 10 in points. That's what it was. Here it was. I just pulled it up. DeMar DeRozan needs to average 18 points a game for another 105 games. So basically a season and some change. He will pass Shaq in career points and enter the top. Right now he's 16th. He will pass Shaq in 105 if he can average 18 points a game, which it sounds like he'll be able to do that.
So that's that parameter for coaches though?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's the same kind of deal. And the whole point in that was you had a lot of people that were coming down on DeMar DeRozan because, again, he's passing Shaq. And when you hear Shaq is top 10 in points, you go, makes sense. One of the best players, most dominant players of all time. When you hear DeMar DeRozan is top 10 in points scored, I don't think the same thought comes to your mind. And so that's where I'm kind of, when you guys are talking about Doc Rivers, and you talking about was he one of the great coaches and he's top 6, I'm asking the equivalent there of when you hear a name, because I think because that's even a strong point, because Doc Rivers is synonymous with, he's a figurehead in the NBA. Right. DeMar DeRozan, by and large, he's a great career, but when I think DeMar DeRozan, I don't think top 10 all-time scoring. Doc Rivers at least is a big-time personality, and I can see where you think, oh, Hall of Fame. But if you're top 10 in points scored, so DeMar DeRozan, he's a surefire Hall of Famer. You can't be top 10 in points scored and not be a bona fide Hall of Famer. That's
DeMar DeRozan,
what I'm asking.
He been a bucket since he came in the league, though. So when you think about the totality, and remember at the end of Shaq's career, he had some really great years, but them valleys were a lot lower. By the way, JT's a complete liar because Steve Kerr won Coach of the Year in 16, started coaching in the Warriors in 14. So it's not his first year. Good job, counselor.
You know what?
I was trying to steer us off the
you know what?
I'm just saying.
I was
trying to run us out of the dock
Steve
thing.
Kerr was just elite his first year doing this thing. He wasn't quite coach of the year. He just was elite his first year doing this thing.
You mean the year when Luke Walton coached the beginning of the year? He came back after that injury and them surgeries and stuff like that.
That wasn't his first year, brother. Don't do that.
Wait, hold on. Didn't Dwayne Casey win in Detroit his first year? And then they fired him?
I don't think it was his first year.
It wasn't his first year?
No, I don't think it was first. I think he won. He did win a coach of the year and got fired like the next year or the year. It was something like that. He won coach of the year and got fired like the next year.
There has to be
But I think you do reward to bring it back though, you do reward the consistency. When you're consistently good over a duration of X amount of time, for players, I think it's a lot shorter. But when you're looking at a coach who's been consistently winning for 25 years, absolutely. That's the whole reason why Nelly's in the Hall of Fame, because he consistently won for 30 years and ran Nelly ball, and he deserves to be there.
So Mike Brown actually won it his first year, 2008, 2009, Cleveland Cavaliers, which is crazy. Mike Brown won coach of the year his first year.
He got fired too.
Steve Kerr, 2015. I'm seeing 2015, 2016. That was his year with the coach. That was his first year with the Golden State Warriors, right? You said 2014? That was 2015, 2016.
NYC says Adrian Griffin would have won his first year.
I'm pretty sure Steve Kerr won it his first. Did he not?
Let me settle this. Let me look this up.
Won his first year.
Steve Kerr's first year coaching was 2014. Yeah, he won NBA Coach of the Year in 2016, so it was not his first year.
So it was not his first year. All right, so then that means what? Mike Brown? Mike Brown was the last one. Mike Brown was the most recent one since Doc did in 2000? Is that right?
Who Mike went it with? Who was on his roster? LeBron, right? Oh, okay.
LBJ, Zogaskis. I think Mo Brown might have been on that team. Maybe that might have been before Mo Brown. Yeah, it was.
So I actually, I'll give you a couple more people. Doc did it in 2000. Tom Thibodeau did it in 2011 with the Bulls. And most recently, Kenny Atkinson did it just last year with the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Oh, that's right. 2024, 2025.
Ain't that who the Bucks wanted to hire anyway?
So Doc does have company. So that's not something that's just like never been done before. I'm just saying Doc has company. It's not something that it had been done before Doc was around. It had been done after Doc. Okay.
So I think when you do it with LeBron James, you're obviously gonna get an asterisk when you do it with LeBron James.
Doc had a super team. Don't do that. Because Doc had a super team. Doc had the original big three to me was more like, Rodman, Pippen, Jordan, or you could even argue Clyde, Barkley, and Olajuwon. There's been a whole lot of big threes, but Doc had an elite roster. That modern day big three in 2008, which how long ago was that? Was it 18 years ago? Ooh, that was 18. God damn, that was 18 years ago. Doc was popping like that in Boston. Is that right? Y'all do that math for me. I just need to know, was that 18 years ago when Doc won that finals?
That's your original big three?
So we talking about the modern day or whatever. A lot of people want to call it that. So we talking about Doc's title 18 years ago, right? Okay, I just want to make sure.
Well, I just want to make a good point though, because it's like when you think about Doc Rivers' career as a whole, it's like, did he do more harm than good at the end of his career?
See, that's like I would go. No, players do it all the time. Is Giannis doing more harm than good right now? Like, you're always going. I mean, I'm just saying, like, he coached it till the wheels fall off, and he lost a bunch of games, but he got an extra. Well, what is his record? 90. He got an extra 95 with the Bucks to keep himself moving,
right? But
moving up.
But
and we're not denying.
Important.
But
people's to the way people hold him as his legacy. Like, I think
it's
always a recency thing.
But here's the legacy though, and I agree with you. But at the end of the day, this is what people who are contemporaries will look at. When his name goes on, getting past it, you're just gonna see the accolades that come with it and what he did. That's what I think is gonna hold up. Like for example, Bam. What'd you say? Bam get 83? No, well, like Bam's 83. We think about it a different way than Kobe's 81. But just like I've never seen footage of Wilt's 100, but we talk about Wilt's 100 like it's oh my God. I don't know what Wilt was doing. He laying up over people that couldn't touch his kneecaps. I don't know how that happened. But the way we look at it is he had 100. We know it. 100 points is the standard. Kobe had 81. That's the standard. Now, we all saw Bam Adebayo in 8K, and we like, nah, we don't like that. 30 years from now, I'm telling you, kids are going to go up and be like, 83 is higher than 81. And I don't know if they're going to have the same context of, well, he shot 30 free throws with it and da-da-da. That I don't, and at the end of the game, they were fouling. I don't know if they're going to do that because, again, there were some fouls that happened at the end of the Lakers game that we don't talk about it because we accept 81 as the number. And we as a generation don't accept 83 as the number. I think the generation after him, they will accept 83 as the number. That's just how it goes. And I think they will, to the point, I think both of you are actually correct here. The nuance on Doc Rivers' career, no question, he underachieved with a number of teams. That is the knock on Doc Rivers. Playoffs can't. He was a great up until this year. He's a pretty good regular season coach, and those playoffs, those teams fell apart. But I don't think you can deny the wins that took place as well. And again, kind of the same knock on Bud, if you want to be completely honest. Bud had the regular seasons were great. And you had these postseason failures outside of 21 that people look at, and that's why they got rid of him. By the way, I have to get us all the way off of this. What the hell happened to TC3 Stan? What happened to that person? They no longer in the chat. What happened? I thought I had a Stan that was in here every night, and no longer.
His name again.
They done quit. They were in here 5 nights and then quit the thing. I just said it because I saw Reggio say "Cream Dream." I thought that was kind of weird. All right, let's. I agree with both. We can't go back. Can we please move forward from this?
I'm gonna let it go. This is me letting it go.
Keep going.
This is me letting it go because you know what, Justin is my guy. And I just had to do it because you know what? Right now, I knew we didn't have a ton of content based on this game. Nobody was going to give a damn. So we got to get the people something because the people who joined us at midnight or past, they deserve to be entertained, man. So we got to give them something. That's all.
Hey, Rick Carlisle has the greatest NBA championship of all in all NBA history, though, for beating a super team that was supposed to be emerged as the best team ever. And I think that I think he's one of the most underrated coaches. So I just want to make sure, and no shade to Jerry Sloan, because I think Sloan's a great coach. Nelson is. I think Rivers is too. But I just, I think a lot of Bucks fans that were born before the Millennium Ball dropped don't really understand how great Doc was, and definitely don't understand how great he was as a basketball player. Because Kyle Kuzma should never mention his name ever.
All right, let's leave it there. We got to keep rolling. We got to keep rolling.
I got a rebuttal on Rick Carlisle.
No, we got to keep going. We got to keep going. All right, I'm just gonna skip. I know we skipped Twitter. We're gonna skip it again because we gotta go. And you know what? I'm also gonna skip. There are a lot of NBA games on tonight. So you can check them out and check out the scores. Bucks lost 125. Did the Hornets win? 108. I don't believe they did. Did they? The Hornets?
The Bucks.
Oh, the Bucks won. Sorry, Bucks won. 125-1. I'm so used to saying Bucks lost. Pistons 118-100 Hornets. That's how that went. 27 for LaMelo. I think there was an interesting stat line. I did see that Wemby had 40 in 26 minutes tonight. And then there was another good stat line I saw. KD had 33. Amen Thompson 41, 9, and 7. Rockets, though, lost to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And then I think a lot of people were talking about this other game that took place. The Tankathon took place tonight. That was I can't find it. That was Utah. Where is it? That was Utah and Memphis, where, I mean, both of these teams are clearly tanking. All these teams have got. Look, tell me if you know any of these guys. Toby Okani, Adam Abal, Jame Mashak,
Jamal
Derek Derek Whitehead, Lucas
Didn't he used to be in Brooklyn?
Yeah, I think so. LSU, maybe.
I know Ryan Rupert because we played him the other day, and he was playing well. But on the Jazz side, it was Cody Williams, Oscar Tabishwa. I think I know him. Kennedy Chandler, Bez Mabeng. I know John Conchar. Ace Bailey was out there too. But some terrible, terrible rosters. And Utah won 147 and 101. So Memphis played 6 players tonight. They had 2 players that played the entire game.
Who was the leading scorer for Memphis and for Utah, just for shits and giggles?
Leading scorer for Memphis was Derek Whitehead, and Utah's leading scorer was Blake Henson. He had 30 points. Bez Mabeng had 27 and 11. Right, NYC. Who he played for? Did I miss a super chat? I feel like I did. I did miss a super chat. Let me get Mr. B's super chat. He said a lot of good to look forward to. Most def keep 30. 00, that's Sims. 21 and 20. 20 is AJ. Who's 21? 30 must be Cormac Ryan, and 21 is
Oos, right?
Is that Oos? 21 is Oos. Okay. He said, in Brooklyn's ass times 50. I'm trying to get Chippy. Yeah, that was interesting. Liddell hit your boy in the face. He got kicked out for it. Only other thing, and I don't want to be long on it at all. What's my girl? What's Dirty Diana?
Dirty Diana Rossini.
Diana Rossini. Listen,
Bruh.
the story on that is wild. Like I said, I'm not about to, we're late. We took a long. I'm not gonna get all the way into it and give a bunch of thoughts, but she's wild. The only thought I will give on it is, I just think it's interesting that so many sports shows tried to back away from it, and it's like, to your point, we talk about it when it's Tiger Woods, when it's Zion and his issues, when it's KPJ and this isn't infidelity, but my point is we find ways to talk about any other players that have off-court issues that happen and have, they're especially when we talk about infidelities or whatever guys are doing off-court. What was that? Was that D'Angelo Russell and your boy that were it was D'Angelo Russell and Nick Young when they were videotaping all that snitching, all that. We talk about all that, and it's
Tony
all
Parker.
Tony is he ha ha, real funny, all this kind of stuff. Larsa Pippen. It's all funny when it's players and athletes, and and they get into that talk too. But when it comes down to one of their own, I saw Dan Le Batard, who Dan Le Batard's all. I find it awkward to talk about. Y'all talk about everything else. But now it's awkward to talk about this lady out there with Mike Vrabel. And it sounds like, the only thing I say is it sounds like Vrabel's wife. Well, this is allegedly they're saying Vrabel's wife hired a PI. And that is like, it wasn't like and again, this is all allegedly, I don't know. They're saying that it wasn't like some random person taking pictures because the PI apparently didn't know who Diana Rossini was. They were just taking pictures, and I don't know. And again, now that part, I don't know who shopped them or how they went about being shopped, but they didn't know who the other person was. They were only there to get pictures of Vrabel, allegedly. But that's all I got on that. Again, I just think my only thought is, I don't think, and she did get suspended at this point or something. I believe they're taking her off the beat at the Athletic and New York Times or wherever she's working. My only point is treat them the same. Treat them just if an athlete was, and I'm not saying she get fired. That's up to them if they want to do that. I'm just saying we can't act like we can't talk about it because it's a media member. Because she certainly goes around and talks about everybody. Jimmy Garoppolo. Well, I want to marry Jimmy Garoppolo. Nah, lady. And last part. I'm sorry. Maybe her husband's into that kind of stuff. They got a word for that. They got a word for that.
What's it called?
You know that hotel chair? They got that little chair.
The Nikki Glazer joint that came out this week that she was talking about when she was into her boyfriend.
I don't watch it. Is she the one that's she a comedian? I know Nikki Glazer. Y'all don't really watch her like that. So I don't know shit.
And she came out and was like, she's happy to hear about her boyfriend hooking up with other women.
Oh, I'm saying there are people who like to sit in the chair.
Oh, the chair.
And on the Diddy stuff. And they enjoy. Well, to your point, you know they got the chairs in the hotel. You know they got the chairs in the hotel. That's where they sit, and they watch it all happen. So maybe he's into that kind of stuff. Yeah, but I'm just saying, if you're not, you gotta get a divorce because you woman out there talking crazy.
So here's the question that I have about this Diana Rossini story, and this is something that I think. Here's the first thing, right? I have a couple of thoughts on this. My first thought is I think her career as a journalist, as a credible journalist, is effectively over. Point. Because at this point, the perception is enough for people to not trust what you're saying. You're actively, allegedly having some sort of inappropriate relationship with a coach as a source. Think about how many times she reported on A.J. Brown this last year, potentially getting traded to the New England Patriots, being interested potentially in A.J. Brown. To connect the dots for y'all, A.J. Brown was on Mike Vrabel's team when he was in Tennessee. So now that he's traded to the and Diana Rossini's repeatedly coming out and reporting on this. Did you have firsthand? Were you actually the source? Was the source Mike Vrabel? There's a lot of questions about this when it comes to Diana Rossini as far as her credibility goes. Like it's like, hey, wait a minute, right? Like you're how can you objectively report on someone when you have this alleged inappropriate relationship? That's the first thing. The second thing is the stories that they told were unbelievable. That we were with groups of friends. We were at groups of friends, and if they was with friends, where were they at? Because I'm going to tell you right now, they were at some exclusive adults-only resorts. One of these places, the place, I don't know, Sedona or whatever that was, that's like a romantic getaway spot in Arizona. That ain't you don't book that on Hotwire because you're trying to get the cheapest rate, right? Like you intentionally go there, and who the hell is going to go to an exclusive adults-only romantic resort with a group of friends? That makes no sense. And you're telling me a group of guy friends and a group of girlfriends went? That makes absolutely no sense. So that doesn't add up. I think the other thing about this too, though, is this. Let me just tell y'all this, fellas, right? I know we held off on a dating device because this season has been too depressing. Let me just tell y'all something. Fellas, if you have a significant other, you cannot, maybe if it's your mom, but at that point it's kind of weird. Your hand, you can't have your fingers interlaced like this with another woman's hands, right? You cannot be feeling the folds of her hand, of another woman's hand. Absolutely not, right?
Feeling the what?
That's one of the folds of the hand, the finger folds, right? Whatever that is. You can't be feeling that. Like, that's absolutely insane. Look, those of y'all with significant others know damn well you can't be interlocked and interlaced like that with somebody else. That's crazy. And the picture that they taking at dinner, smiling and doing this with both hands, and nah, bro, that does not add up. That is not a friend. You're not doing that with just a friend. We're just deep, close friends. Nah, bro. There's a level of intimacy that's the first thing my wife heard. I was like, oh hell, nah, something going on. She knew that. That was acute. So the fact that you did that, that's crazy. And that tells me this ain't just no damn friendship based on all that circumstantial stuff. The fourth point I have is I think that this had to have been somebody hired a private investigator. Somebody had to know. And I'm wondering, I really do wonder if it was somebody's spouse who did it. Somebody had to hire a private investigator because you don't get these photos and these candid shots here unless you're kind of looking for it. So somebody had to know that something was going on here. Like, there's no way, right? And my last point is this. I don't think Diana Rossini is the first journalist to allegedly have an inappropriate relationship. I don't think she will be the last. I think the game is the game.
Joy Taylor out there bouncing around.
That's what I'm saying. I think the game is the game.
What? I ain't saying nothing crazy. I said something crazy.
No.
What I'm saying, what I'm saying is, I think the game is the game here, and I understand that. But one thing that we have to keep in mind: there's no standard for these coaches, but there 100% is a standard for these journalists when it comes to integrity and this, and that. And some people may say, "Well, that's not fair," but that's just kind of what the situation is. So to Trey's point, if we're going to excoriate the athletes and everybody else when they do this, then you got to keep that same energy for Diana Rossini, who allegedly, and then I'm sorry, I said it was my last point. Here's my next point. When you start running all these Twitter clips of stuff she's saying, she's not helping herself because she looks crazy with some of that stuff that she's saying, talking about her husband, talking about how he averaged, joking, oh, we getting divorced. It looks absolutely terrible. She's talking about, oh, I did things I didn't tell my husband about.
Hey, I was at the party. Yeah.
Dirty Diana.
Dirty Diana.
The internet does not forget.
Well, that's I was because I'm thinking about it. It's 12:40, so I'll say it. Joy Taylor in the front, you think one thing, and in the back, it's all Joy Taylor from behind don't look the same. She's doing the front, but anyway, it's 12:40. That's the only reason I'm doing that. It getting late.
Go to bed, bro.
Go to bed. You think one thing happening, and then you like, whoa, okay, ironing board. We're about to get these clothes right today. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Since you got that weak booty. So to me, yeah, I mean, like, I saw what you guys saw, and like it was just like, seriously, Mike Vrabel, like, I don't know.
He been married like 30 years too, and got young kids. I think his kids are relatively young.
Yeah, he seemed like a good dude, and then that comes out, and I won't put anything past any of these people.
Ain't kill, but it's crazy.
Once I saw what Bill Belichick was doing, he was hopping out of he was hopping out of college girls' dorms on the Ring camera shirt off. Nah.
He's wild boys, man.
I can't put anything past these Patriots coaches or these coaches in general.
You know what? And listen, I'm going to make this point too. We've heard from a whole lot of people on this. The Athletic, who came out, who originally supported her, and then all of a sudden they're like, no, they're pending investigation, this. You know who we not going to hear from? Bob Kraft. He ain't saying nothing. Bob Kraft, not Bob, who's getting a massage at the places that just say massage on the side. Bob Kraft's going to sit this one out.
Giving him $10 tips.
The only thing I'm gonna say, man, is like I feel the same way about her like I did about Tiger.
What happened? Oh, where's she? Oh no, I'm talking about. They said she just bought something.
Yeah,
I ain't seen.
Dr. Miami.
I ain't know that. Okay, Joy. I didn't know that. I might have to do some Googles. All right.
Like you just gotta be
bought something.
Yo, that's crazy. You just got to be smarter And what are we in the year of the Lord 2026? Shout out to Cormac Ryan. Because I probably shouldn't be commenting on this, but I'm just gonna say, man, look, man. I'm about to get in trouble. Dog, you gotta learn how to do your dirt behind closed doors. Stop doing it out here where people can be seen, and stop being sloppy with it. Like Diana, you know what you were doing. Tiger, you know what you were doing. Anthony Edwards, you knew what you were doing. All y'all folks knew what you're doing. Just like try to keep that stuff over there, man. Let's keep the sports over here. Hit the ball, score the ball, run over the end zone, whatever the case may be. And that's what we need to do, man. Like all this other stuff. Because I felt like Tiger stuff was out of pocket. I felt like Joey stuff was out of pocket. Who the other girl? Who the other girls that were pulling the guns on each other for the WNBA and all that stuff? Domestic violence and all that. Brittany Reiner, her too. Like you just got to keep that stuff out of it, man. Like
just to say he do his toast if he to wives and girlfriends. May they never meet.
I'm gonna drink this Aquafina and shut the hell up. That's what I'm gonna do. Help me out, Chris King.
I don't put that I'm a Chris. I don't put nothing past nobody, right? And I remember y'all remember when Bobby Petrino had that girl.
Hey, he's in the motorcycle.
On the motorcycle,
and then he had a neck brace. Had that 20-year-old intern on the back of that motorcycle, and he showed up to that press conference in that neck brace.
Neck brace is crazy. And Bobby, neck brace is crazy.
And Bobby at first couldn't answer why that girl was on the back of his motorcycle 20 miles outside of town.
What did you see? Did you see Nate Oates from Alabama? He all of a sudden he popped out in a press conference talking about, me and my wife got divorced. All of a sudden he starts mentioning his new girlfriend. She's on staff at Alabama.
I didn't see that.
I'm like,
I saw it, and I just gotta wonder.
Well, hey, we ain't talk about you talking about all the people. What's my man? They got fired in Michigan.
Oh, buddy.
Ime Udoka. It's just, these coaches just be.
I think we missed a valuable point in this, though.
You said they got to do dirt better. That was your point.
No, I ain't say nothing. I said nothing. I said I'm with Cormac Ryan with the Christians. Chris King mentioned it seems to be a way with these Patriot coaches. And then JT mentioned and alluded to Robert Kraft. I'm just saying. What y'all say earlier? Where there's smoke, there's fire? I'm just saying. I'm going to be quiet now. I need some more Aquafina.
Hey, talking about the Patriots, and then it go the other way, too. Because Giselle out there with the jiu-jitsu, man.
Uh-oh.
So
Stephon Diggs had his debacle. So like
Giselle basically gave every husband a reason to question a wife wanting a personal trainer. Right? Giselle just basically
on my
way. He said he used to do 10 hours a day jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, husbands that were thinking about, my wife wants a trainer, she want to get
a
That's what you think.
That's the oldest trick in the book. That train, that's the oldest trick in the book. Oh yeah, I train you. That's the oldest trick in the book.
That personal trainer do it. Yeah, that personal trainer had that relationship, boy.
I've been one too. I've been a personal trainer before.
Hey,
what about
my shorty
tennis instructor?
All of it. Anything you need one-on-one training for.
Yeah, that's dead.
Nah, you need it. Hey, you gotta have
you gotta tell
her
personal trainer.
You gotta have a female doctor. You need a female doctor.
You saying
a female dentist? Yeah, you need a yeah. I'm saying my wife. You gotta have a female doctor. You can't have no.
You want a male OBGYN?
No. You're right. Come on now.
That's true. I mean,
but
Dennis,
but
Dennis, what's the issue with the dentist?
At the dentist, they be knocking them out with that gas. What you think they be doing in that to them?
They be drilling in the mouth.
My man said,
"No Novocaine."
Most women, I think, want a female OBGYN anyway. And
why would you want to? Why if you're married, you think let me spread them. Let me pull.
I had
physical therapist, all that.
I had a former boss, right? Because y'all know I've had some inappropriate bosses. I had a former boss who was a woman tell me a long time ago she preferred a male OBGYN because she said males are just matter of fact and they'll just tell it to me straight, no sugarcoating and whatever, right? And I didn't know what she had going on. I didn't ask any questions. That was one of those things I was like, Understood.
That's where she get her rocks off in the office.
But she preferred a male OBGYN. That's what she said right now. I don't know if them exams going a little longer than they needed to. I don't know if my man was wearing gloves. I don't know, right? I'm just saying that, like, that's what she said. She put it out there.
I mean, the real question is Mike Vrabel. Is that his name? Vrabel? Him too? When you going to sit your ass down at your big age, though? You too old to be out there with them side. Like, at some point, you just got to sit. That's what I meant. I want to talk about doing your dirt and keeping it better. I'm just saying, you got this big ass age and you still trying to smash side chicks. Like, yo, chill out, dog. Like, if you got to get extra enhancements to smash a side chick, that's when you know side chicks are done for you.
How you know he need extra enhancements?
He got CTE and all that shit. He played for the Patriots.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, I know that was like a found
show.
Yeah. No, that was a great show. Yeah, let's wrap it, man. Let's wrap it.
Did we win?
It's 12:50 in the East Coast. Yeah, we won. A lot of winning going on, man. So good stuff. Hey, we appreciate everybody for joining us tonight. As always, good stuff, man. Y'all could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. Man, it's just I was a mess of the last. I don't know how long. How long we go today?
2 hours 10.
Oh, that's not bad. But that was probably a mess of the last hour or so. But good stuff, man. It was fun, entertaining as always. We appreciate you guys for joining us and staying with us as you always do. Again, please like, follow, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And continue to stay with us. And as we finish out the season, one more game, right? One more game, and then we have the and of course we'll be in postseason stuff, and we will do I don't know, we'll do a season wrap up show, of course, as we always do, and then like I said, it's gonna be a lot of looking onto the off season with this Milwaukee Bucks team and franchise. But again, we want to appreciate everybody for rocking with us. Please tell a friend about the Crimson Cross. It is the best Milwaukee Postgame Show in all of the land. It says, go read the comments on Joy Taylor's last post if you need a last. Okay, all right, I'll do that. Hit that. How say you laugh.
Damn, he's another one that we haven't talked about.
They be wild.
She robbed him.
Huh?
Shannon Sharp, that OnlyFans model robbed him.
Oh man.
Then him. I don't know if y'all be watching him, Ocho and Joe Johnson. Man, they be wild. They be like what we did tonight was compared to what they be doing. They be wild. They be going crazy.
Wow.
But all right. Okay, this has been a Cream City Media Group production from Nigga
JT,
Chris King,
Justin.
Hey man, if I am your enemy, it's only because I dare to tell you the truth. Don't take no wood nickels. Oh, there's the rock.